Chapter 925. Chu Yang now really felt that, as Zi Sheqing said, it was too easy to kill such a scumbag. He should really let such a person suffer the cruelest torture in the world before he died. Only then would he be considered to have deserved it. Even so, it would only relieve a little of his hatred. Lan Ruoyun's mind was controlled by Chu Yang. Whatever he said under such circumstances was definitely the truth. And it was definitely the most straightforward reaction in his heart. So obscene, so shameless. Looking at this obscene smile, Chu Yang's heart was filled with fury. He slashed down with his sword. Starting from his feet, Lan Ruoyun rolled around on the ground and screamed miserably incessantly. "I will kill your father, your mother, your ancestors, and everyone who is protecting you. I will kill them one by one." Chu Yang roared, "Your whole family is scum, scum, scum." What kind of clan was a big clan? What kind of people were in it? They were all experts with powerful divine senses. How could Lan Ruoyun's family not know that he had done such a heinous thing? How could his parents not know? How could his old ancestors not know? Chu Yang would never believe it. Even if he said that the other higher-ups of the Lan clan didn't know about this, no one in the entire heavens would believe him. It was too ridiculous. Since they knew about it, they didn't stop it and even let such an obscene person be the 7th Duke. It was obvious what kind of attitude the Lan clan had. At this moment, Chu Yang had already made a vow in his heart. No matter what other clans do, I will definitely exterminate the Lan clan. When he made this decision, he didn't even consider that Lan Maixian of the Lan clan was his mother's teacher. Lan Ruoyun's moans gradually weakened. Chu Yang raised his sword and was about to end his life. "Wait." Zi Sheqing stopped him. "What?" Chu Yang turned back and asked. "You can't kill him." Zi Sheqing frowned and looked at the black line that gradually appeared between Lan Ruoyun's eyebrows. She said seriously, "If you kill him, you will be in big trouble and your identity will be exposed." "Why?" Chu Yang asked curiously. "There's no one around here, so what if I kill him?" "No one will know. Look at his forehead. That black line is very strange. As far as I know, this black line is a kind of supreme divine sense. The person who cares about this person the most has spent a lot of effort to plant a root in his body using the power of his divine sense. If he dies, this black line will appear on the face of the person who killed him, at the same place between the eyebrows. Moreover, the supreme martial artist who left behind this will know immediately." Zi Sheqing said, "This is the secret technique of the heavens, double soul connection, one heart for 10,000 miles. Looks like this little one's identity isn't simple." Chu Yang snorted coldly. "So what if it's troublesome? Could it be that he spared this bastard's life because he was afraid of trouble? This is impossible." Zi Sheqing blinked her eyes. "Carry him and follow me. Don't let him die. Let's find Wei Wuyan while we're at it." Chu Yang didn't know what he was up to. He could only grab Lan Ruoyun and follow him. Zi Sheqing carried Chu Le on her back and led the way in front. Chu Yang followed all the way. When they came to the outside of a forest, Zi Sheqing let out a strange long howl. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the forest. Not long after, a large pack of greenback wolves swarmed in. "Throw him in." Zi Sheqing twisted her mouth. "Ha ha. I see. This is a good idea. Let that supreme martial artist come and find trouble with these wolves." Chu Yang laughed loudly. He grabbed Lan Ruoyun and threw him out into the pack of wolves. When the pack of wolves smelled the blood, they howled and rushed up. Lan Ruoyun only had time to let out a scream before he was dismembered by the pack of wolves. A black line rose from Lan Ruoyun's corpse and wedged itself into the head of the wolf at lightning speed. That wolf seemed to be very uncomfortable. It actually turned around dizzily and ran away with the pack of wolves with its tail between its legs. Chu Yang said with some regret, "It's a pity that there are no powerful 10th or 11th grade spirit beasts nearby. Otherwise, after throwing them in, they can create some trouble for the Lan clan." Zi Sheqing said, "Powerful spirit beasts. Originally, there was a human-faced spider here. But it was too disgusting for me to take, so I chased it away." Chu Yang laughed dryly. "Now, the inner core and poisonous pill of that human-faced spider are with me." "Killed by you?" Zi Sheqing's gaze was very strange. No, it's Wei Wuyan. As Chu Yang said, he explained the situation at that time. Zi Sheqing actually laughed. Your luck is really not bad. The two of them walked quickly. This time, they carefully avoided the people who were searching the mountain and went straight to the place where Wei Wuyan and his disciple were hiding. Because the people who were searching the mountain were getting closer and closer to that place. If they were delayed any longer, Wei Wuyan and his disciple might really die. After walking a few hundred feet forward, there was a cliff in front of them. Zi Sheqing stopped, pointed to the opposite side of the cliff and said, Wei Wuyan and his disciple are over there. That side is full of vines, and the entire cave entrance is blocked. It's hard to see with the naked eye here. Chu Yang sighed. Old Wei's generation is really not having it easy. Zi Sheqing was silent for a while and said, his master is indeed irresponsible, but Wei Wuyan is a rare good man. But, he's too pedantic. Such a person will suffer a lot in the martial world. Chu Yang nodded in agreement. The two of them were about to go down when they suddenly heard rapid sounds coming from afar. It seemed that many people were rushing towards this place. The two of them bent down at the same time and quickly moved sideways. They flashed out of the path and the cliff, and hid in the grass that was more than 10 feet high. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. People were constantly flying towards this place. Not long after, there were already close to 30 people. With a few swoosh sounds, 4 figures leaped onto a big tree and stood at the top of the tree to be on guard. A clanging sound was heard, followed by the fragrance of tea. The two of them were talking and laughing as they walked towards this place. These two people really knew how to enjoy themselves. They were actually making tea in this wilderness. A smiling voice asked very softly, Brother Yi, did you discover anything on your side? Once this person spoke, his voice, tone and the confidence and magnanimity of everything being under his control reminded Chu Yang of Diwu Qingru. Then, another flirtatious voice sounded. Oh, how annoying. Hey, Brother Zhuge, if you didn't discover anything on your side, how would I discover anything on my side? Hey, the hair on Chu Yang's body stood on end as this voice resounded. Then, an image of a laughing woman appeared in his mind. The third Duke of the Yi clan. The Duke of Ruchang, Yi Shiyu. So it was this transvestite who had come. The person from the Yi clan was actually the Duke of Ruchang, one of the 3 dukes. What conditions did that Lang Yilong promise to make the Yi clan send out such an important person? Seeing Chu Yang's strange expression, Zi Sheqing asked via telepathy, You know this person? This is the 3rd Duke of the Yi clan, the Duke of Ruchang, Yi Shiyu. Chu Yang replied via telepathy. This is really going to kill me. Zi Sheqing silently rolled up half of her sleeves. She said via telepathy, Look. Chu Yang looked over and saw a dense layer of goosebumps on Zi Sheqing's snow-white arms. For a moment, he almost laughed out loud. This is too disgusting. This should be a man, right? Zi Sheqing frowned. Chu Yang could even clearly see that the hair on Zi Sheqing's neck had stood up. This was enough to show how much of a shock this Duke Yi Shiyu had given her. Chu Yang laughed secretly in his heart. For Yi Shiyu to be able to scare someone of Zi Sheqing's cultivation to such an extent, it was enough to show how powerful his charm was. No one in the heavenly layer could compare to him. If Yi Shiyu knew about this, he would definitely be very proud. That Duke Zhuge, on the other hand, was very calm. He smiled lightly and said, I really didn't expect that this search for supreme martial artist Icy Snow would actually be so troublesome even though we had already obtained accurate information. Brother Yi, these days, you've been eating and sleeping in the open. Your beautiful face has now become somewhat haggard. Boo-hoo-hoo. I'm so annoying. You're so annoying, annoying Zhuge. I hate it when people bring up this issue, but you just have to keep talking about it. I hate you so much, humph. Yi Shiyu pouted. He twisted his waist, tilted his buttocks and sat facing the outside. Then, he took out a small mirror from his bosom and looked at his haggard face in the mirror. He sighed bitterly. What should I do? What should I do? I'm really haggard. My pitiful countenance. Boo-hoo, I really shouldn't have come out this time. Those guys just had to send me, humph. Next time, I won't listen to them. Whoever wants to come out can come out. Sigh, my pitiful countenance. As he said, he took out a box of flour from his bosom. There was even a comb, face powder, eyebrow pencil, and meticulously touched up his makeup. Zhuge smiled faintly. Brother Yi, you're really vain. This guy's voice was calm and elegant. He was not surprised by Yi Shiyu's unusual actions. It could be seen that his composure and self-cultivation were outstanding. Yi Shiyu twisted his waist like a snake and said shyly, Ayaya, us girls are different from you guys. Humph, how can we not be vain? As he said, he sighed faintly. I'm so tired, so tired. Humph, Zhuge, can you help me massage my shoulders? Can you? Zhuge smiled bitterly. Brother Yi, please spare me. You know that I'm a clean freak. Yi Shiyu instantly pouted and stomped his feet. What do you mean you're a clean freak? Am I very dirty? Am I very dirty? Zhuge, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. If you don't tell me clearly today, I'll crawl into your bed tonight. He stomped his feet, twisted his waist and shook his buttocks. He was very active. Zhuge could still face him calmly, but Chu Yang, who was in the bushes, was about to faint. What a monster! What a monster! How can there be such a weirdo in the world? It's really unbearable. Chu Yang really did not know how Zhuge could hold himself back. Chu Yang praised in his heart. People from the Zhuge clan are indeed different from others. He's so small and calm. He's almost as good as Diwu Qingru. Chapter 926. I can't take it anymore. Zi Xieching secretly transmitted her voice. Her beautiful face actually turned pale. Every time I hear this voice, my whole body trembles. My scalp tightens, wrinkles, and goes numb. This powerful person who had traversed tens of planes had a look of lingering fear. I've been wandering for tens of thousands of years. I've never been afraid of anyone. But this Duke Ru Chang really makes me feel fearful from the bottom of my heart. He can kill a supreme martial artist with just his mouth. Disgusting. Zhuge smiled gently and said, Brother Yi, let's talk about serious matters. Yi Shiyu twisted his waist and pouted. Zhuge finally shuddered and his lips turned green. Brother Yi, if you continue to be like this, I won't say anything. Yi Shiyu obviously didn't care. He raised his face and said with a hidden bitterness, But are you really going to turn a blind eye to my feelings for you? Zhuge gritted his teeth and finally couldn't take it anymore. He used a voice that was so gentle that it could kill people to say, Brother Yi, how can I not know your feelings for me? It's just that I'm in the secular world, how can I not care about what others think of me? And you and I are both brothers of big clans. But, since you've said so, I'll also express my opinion. How about this, if you can convince the Yi clan, I'll marry you. As the saying goes, 3 flat pieces are not as round as 1 round, haha. This time, it was Yi Shiyu who couldn't take it anymore. All the hair on his body stood up and he jumped up. He gritted his teeth and said, Scram, you pervert. This was a loud scolding, but it was a man's voice. Zhuge laughed out loud, almost to the point of tears. You pervert. You use such means to make fun of others every day. Today, I'll let you have a taste of it. Yi Shiyu looked at him angrily for a long time. Finally, he burst out laughing. He sat back down. Zi Xieching, Chu Yang and Chu Le, who were in the grass, were completely speechless. If not for the fact that the two of them finally started to talk about serious matters, the 3 of them would have fainted. At the same time, Chu Yang was also full of admiration in his heart. Zhuge Zhen is indeed worthy of being a person from a clan of wise men. This move of giving others a taste of their own medicine is extremely beautiful. Even a thick-skinned person like Yi Shiyu felt his hair stand on end and he flew into a rage out of humiliation. It seemed like a joke, but it was actually a confrontation between the 2 dukes of the 2 great clans. Yi Shiyu was currently in a disadvantageous position. This was because his best disgusting method had been countered by an even more disgusting method. Chu Yang thought to himself, I wonder what rank this Zhuge is in the Zhuge clan? If such a person was not ranked first in the Zhuge clan, then how scheming was the first duke of the Zhuge clan? How terrifying was that? Chu Yang thought again, How is this Zhuge Liang compared to Diwu Qingru? After thinking about it, he still felt that Zhuge was slightly inferior. This was because Diwu Qingru's expression would never change no matter what. As for Zhuge Liang, no matter if it was because of his method or because he couldn't control it, his expression would always change. Zhuge said, "Brother Yi, law enforcement master Lang has been chasing after Hong Wuliang for hundreds of years. This time, he obviously received accurate news that Hong Wuliang is here. But why didn't he do it himself? Or let the people from the interrogation hall do it? Instead, he wants to borrow the power of the three great clans. What do you think?" Yi Shiyu's eyebrows twitched. He said faintly, "It must be because the law enforcement master of the interrogation hall has something on those old fellows in the clans. That's why they have no choice but to do things for him." "Of course." Zhuge rolled his eyes and said, "Of course it's because he has something on them. But everyone knows about the feud between Lang Yilang and Hong Wuliang. This time, he didn't do it himself. This matter is too suspicious. I'm talking about Lang Yilang's motive, not the reason why he instigated us." A rare frown appeared on Yi Shiyu's face. He pondered deeply and said, "There are indeed many things that the law enforcement masters can use against us big clans. But it's always been like this for generations. Although the law enforcement masters are powerful, they may not be able to completely suppress the big clans. But this time, the elders immediately agreed to Lang Yilang's suggestion. This in itself is very suspicious." Zhuge nodded. "That's right. As for Lang Yilang not doing it himself, it's definitely not because he's embarrassed." Yi Shiyu analyzed calmly. Of course, Zhuge didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lang Yilang caused a huge commotion at Hong Wuliang's wife's funeral back then. The two of them are enemies. Zhuge analyzed calmly. Later on, Lang Yilang killed Hong Wuliang's friends wantonly. The two of them met on the battlefield and became sworn enemies. Regardless of whether it's Lang Yilang or Hong Wuliang, as long as they received news of the other party, they would immediately rush over. Their lifelong ambition is to kill the other party personally. But this time, even though Hong Wuliang's whereabouts are known, Lang Yilang didn't do it. Zhuge said, "There must be a conspiracy behind this." Yi Shiyu was stunned. "It can't be that sinister, right? Your Zhuge clan always likes to associate everything with conspiracies." "I really can't stand you guys." Zhuge said, "I think there are two possibilities why Lang Yilang didn't do it. The first possibility is that after so many years of disappearance, Hong Wuliang's cultivation is no longer what it used to be. Lang Yilang had already come to look for Hong Wuliang but left after suffering a huge loss. That's why we were mobilized." Frowning, Yi Shiyu didn't speak. After a long while, he said, "That can't be." Zhuge was also silent for a moment before he said, "The first possibility is also the most unlikely. As for the second possibility, it's that Lang Yilang is at a critical juncture now. He can't split himself." Yi Shiyu put away his feminine demeanor. His eyes lit up and he lowered his voice. "You're saying, he's about to advance to third-grade supreme martial artist? And he's currently breaking through the bottleneck?" Zhuge looked at him strangely and smiled. "Brother Yi, are you testing me?" Yi Shiyu blinked his eyes and laughed. Zhuge snorted and said, "Lang Yilang was already a third-grade supreme martial artist 270 years ago. Although this is top secret. I know what you mean the moment you ask. Brother Yi, you actually dare to speak like this in front of the Zhuge clan. I really admire your narrow-mindedness." Having his thoughts exposed, Yi Shiyu instantly reverted to his old ways. He stomped his feet in embarrassment, twisted his waist, and winked at Zhuge. "You're so annoying," Zhuge snickered. Both dukes had their own thoughts. Even though it was a conversation like this, they were both scheming. They were both digging holes for each other. Yi Shiyu deliberately said third grade. If the Zhuge clan didn't know, Zhuge would naturally report this news back. In that case, the Zhuge clan's analysis of Lang Yilang would be greatly discounted. If there were any changes in the future, the Zhuge clan would suffer heavy losses because of this misjudgment. At the very least, it would affect one party's plan. And Zhuge's subsequent pointing out was equivalent to spoiling another one of Yi Shiyu's schemes. The one who was truly at a loss now was Yi Shiyu. Because according to Zhuge's analysis, Lang Yilong might be breaking through to 4th grade supreme martial artist. This piece of news was of utmost importance to the big clans. But was this piece of news true or false? Should they report it or not? If they reported it, what if it was false? If they didn't report it, what if it was true? If they took it seriously and adjusted their plans to deal with Lang Yilong, then they might end up doing something like shooting a stone at a mosquito. It would be a waste of energy, and this would lead to the weakening of their strength in other areas. 4th grade supreme martial artists. How could those who paid attention to him be mediocre? The two dukes each had their own schemes. On the surface, they appeared to be harmonious, but deep down, they were at loggerheads and plotting against each other. Because everyone knew that the 10,000-year cycle of reincarnation was coming. Once the Tribulation Sword Master appeared, the law enforcement officers would still be biased towards him even though they appeared to be fair on the surface. Once the Tribulation Sword Master appeared, it meant that the honeymoon period between the big clans and the law enforcement officers had come to an end. Even if there was a huge battle, it wasn't impossible. Every 10,000-year cycle of reincarnation, there would be a huge battle between the big clans and the law enforcement officers. How could they not guard against such a thing? Moreover, it had already been more than 1,000 years. Where's that bastard? Yi Shiyu couldn't figure out what was going on, so he could only change the topic. As he spoke, he revealed an undisguised look of disgust. That bastard is flirting with women. Zhuge snorted and said, then, when I used the heaven and earth magical hearing to detect the movements within a radius of a few hundred miles, I happened to hear that bastard talking. What was he talking about? Yi Shiyu asked with great interest. Zhuge took out a strange-shaped metal ear-like thing and said, activating the heaven and earth magical hearing once consumes too much energy. I only heard a few sentences, and then I heard Lan Ruoyun say, Miss, why don't we fight? Let them all leave. Do you want to fight on the bed? Or should we fight here? Or in the water? Or on the tree? Zhuge actually imitated Lan Ruoyun's voice to perfection. Even the lust in his voice was imitated in its original way. Now, that bastard is probably doing that, fighting. Zhuge said disdainfully. Yi Shiyu was furious. That bastard is flirting with our weak women again. What else did he say? Do you know how much energy it consumes for me to activate the heaven and earth magical hearing? Just hearing a few sentences already disgusted me. Zhuge said angrily, do you think that I'm using the heaven and earth magical hearing to listen to the bed? Yi Shiyu was also furious. That bastard is flirting with beautiful women, and you actually didn't do anything when you heard it. You let him do whatever he wants and cause great physical and mental harm to us weak women. Zhuge snorted. I want to do something, but, didn't your clan warn you this time? Don't offend Lan Ruoyun. Don't you know who's behind him? Yi Shiyu was still angry. But I feel angry when I hear such words, as if he's raping me. Raping you? He's raping you. Zhuge finally spat out a mouthful of tea and coughed continuously. Chapter 927. After scolding for a while, Yi Shiyu also became dejected. I feel disgusted when I see that bastard Lan Ruoyun. But the old monster behind that bastard is indeed not easy to deal with. He sighed and said, didn't this bastard's legs get broken by Mengse previously? How did he recover so quickly? How depressing. Zhuge smiled and said, the last time this fellow tried to kidnap a girl, Mengse encountered him. After learning of his identity, he still broke his legs. However, because of these two legs, the family paid a price of 10,000 purple crystals. Mengse was also grounded by the family and is not allowed to leave. Yi Shiyu said with a face full of reverie, Mengse. He's a real man. Such a man is a good match for us girls. The corner of Zhuge's mouth twitched. Chu Yang and Zi Xieching exchanged glances. It turned out that this Lan Ruoyun had a big backer behind him. No wonder he could be the 7th Duke of the Lan clan. Yi Shiyu said with great interest, Brother Zhuge, that old monster is already 1,000 years old. Why does he treasure this bastard Lan Ruoyun so much? Zhuge looked at him strangely. You don't know? Yi Shiyu was startled. What do I know? Zhuge smiled strangely and looked left and right. Then, he moved his mouth closer and said in a low voice, "I heard. Remember, it's only hearsay. That old monster's yin and yang were disrupted more than 20 years ago and he almost went mad. He rushed out from his seclusion and raped Lan Ruoyun's mother. Who would have thought that with one shot, Lan Ruoyun was born? Say, this old thing has never been married his whole life and he actually has a child at 1,000 years old. How much does he treasure this child?" Yi Shiyu opened his mouth wide and his eyes were full of shock. His voice trembled as he said, He. He's already 1,000 years old and his spear skills are still so accurate. Keep quiet. Zhuge shouted. Too shocking. I'm so shocked. Yi Shiyu patted his chest with one hand and looked as if he was still in shock. Damn it. He's too strong. He's so old and he's still so good. This kind of person is definitely a good match for us girls. Not only was he too shocked, Chu Yang and Zi Sheqing in the bushes were also too shocked. The two of them were so shocked that they almost lost their ability to speak. There was actually such a thing. No wonder this Lan Ruoyun was so unbridled. It turned out that he had a father who was 7,000 years old. Then, Chu Yang thought of the twin soul connection, one heart for 10,000 miles on Lan Ruoyun. He knew how much his supreme martial artist father treasured him. No wonder, fortunately, he didn't kill him. If that was the case, he would let his 7,000-year-old father go and settle the score with that pack of wolves. Thinking of this, Chu Yang immediately took pleasure in his misfortune. Right at this moment, someone hurriedly came over to report. Third young master, we've found the cave where Hong Wuliang is hiding. It's just below this cliff, close to the middle. Yi Shiyu and Zhuge were both stunned. Neither of them moved. Zhuge chuckled and said, Brother Yi, this is a good opportunity for your Yi clan to befriend Law Enforcement Master Lang. Brother Yi, please give the order. I'll support you. Yi Shiyu laughed. How would I dare to steal Brother Zhuge's limelight? Brother Zhuge, it's better if you give the order. The sooner we understand this matter, the sooner we can return. This is the perfect opportunity for me to witness the Zhuge clan's ingenuity. Both of them knew that this battle was extremely dangerous. The other party was only one person, but he had the cultivation of a supreme martial artist. Although there were quite a number of people from their clans, and their strength was far greater than the other parties, it was absolutely impossible for them to take down the other party without paying a heavy price. At such a time, the price was usually a huge loss. Such a loss, of course, should be pushed away as much as possible. No, you should do it. No, you should do it. Both of them had a cordial smile on their faces, as if they were confiding in each other wholeheartedly. Both of them insisted on giving this great credit to the other party. After a long while, both of them sighed at the same time. It's a pity that Lan Ruoyun, that lecherous hothead, isn't here. Otherwise, we would have saved a lot of effort, Yi Shiyu said sadly. I don't know where that bastard has gone to. Zhuge agreed. Although the two of them were disgusted by Lan Ruoyun leading the team here, they also felt that it was actually not bad to have such a straightforward person in front of them, who would rush forward excitedly after being instigated a little. At least, they could avoid their own losses. They didn't expect that at such a critical juncture, the people from the Lan clan actually went missing altogether. The two of them argued for a long time, and finally reached an agreement. Zhuge would be in command, and Yi Shiyu would be on the sidelines to assist. The people from the Yi clan and Zhuge clan would be under Zhuge's command, and they would be paired according to their strength. Such a battle was simply torture, but the two of them were very calculative. They weren't calculative about who would do the work, but they were calculative about how much strength they could preserve in the future battle. After making up their minds, Zhuge Yun immediately started to give out orders. This is a cliff, and we don't know how long it is on both sides, so there's definitely no exits on both sides. This cave is at the bottom of the cliff, and it's too high to go up a few thousand feet. So, there's definitely no way out. If there's a way out, it must be at the back of the mountain. Third elder, you bring a few people to the back of the mountain first. You must block all possible exits. Once you discover someone escaping from there, stop him immediately and send out a signal immediately. Even if you have to risk your life, you can't let him escape. Zhuge Yun blocked the escape route of Wei Wuyan and his disciple. Yes. A man in blue cupped his hands and accepted the order. With a wave of his hand, he brought a few people with him and left like a whirlwind. When you reach there, report back immediately when you're ready, Zhuge instructed. Yes. This third elder had already left without a trace. Brother Yi, send a few people. When I give the order, cut down all the vines on the mountain wall. Zhuge said, if there's such a thing, there's definitely a mechanism. We don't know the secret behind it, but Hong Wuliang definitely knows, and he can use it flexibly. Even if there's no mechanism, with these vines as stepping stones, he'll definitely be faster than us in this place where he's lived for a long time. Cut it down first. Okay. Yi Shiyu agreed readily this time. He immediately arranged the manpower. The other party is in the cave, and we're not familiar with the terrain. It's easy to defend and hard to attack, and we don't know if there's a water source and how much food there is. So, when the entrance of the cave is exposed, we'll first light a fire, roll up the thick smoke, mix it with poison, and pour it into the cave. Okay. Chu Yang, who was in the bushes, secretly praised, brilliant plan. Once we're sure that the thick smoke can fill the cave to the point that nothing can be seen, the few supreme martial artists elders will immediately rush into the cave. Now, you can use a black cloth to cover your eyes and adapt to the darkness in a dark place, Zhuge ordered decisively. Yes. Now, when we've confirmed that the third elder is in position, we'll immediately take action. Zhuge finished the arrangement and turned to look at Yi Shiyu. Brother Yi, do you have anything else to add? Yi Shiyu said with some admiration, Brother Zhuge, you're very capable. I admire you very much. This was his heartfelt words. Zhuge had really thought of all aspects. Blocking the escape route, assisting the enemy, using the thick smoke, poison together, knowing that the other party wouldn't be poisoned to the point of fainting. But he had successfully created a situation where both parties were on equal footing. Because of the smoke, both parties couldn't see anything. Although it was more dangerous to rush in and fight in such a situation, it had successfully offset part of the other party's geographical advantage. Because the other party couldn't see anything, using a black cloth to cover one's eyes to adapt to the darkness was even more ingenious. If it wasn't for this small thing, one would definitely feel uncomfortable rushing into the dark fog from a bright place. Although this uncomfortable feeling only lasted for a short moment, it was enough for a supreme martial artist to attack 1,000 times. What would it feel like to be attacked by 1,000 times at the same time? Chu Yang dared not underestimate this Zhuge more and more. If he were to have a conflict with the Zhuge clan in the future, he might become enemies with this person. When that time came, he had to deal with him carefully. Zi Xieching also cautiously transmitted a message to Chu Yang. This small thing, you have to be careful of his schemes. Chu Yang nodded silently. A strange bird's chirping sound came from afar, and it reverberated for a long time. Zhuge listened carefully and smiled. The third elder has already found the exit of the back mountain and has sealed it. Let's take action immediately. Yi Shiyu nodded. With a twist of his buttocks, he waved his hand. Chop down those vines for me. Their figures soared up like big birds. Their black clothes seemed to cover the sunlight. With a neat flip in midair, the 4 figures transformed into 4 long rainbows that connected the heavens and the earth. These 4 people actually performed the supreme sword technique of body and sword at the same time and dashed towards the stone wall. Chu Yang didn't know what the vines were made of, but he still had to be careful. If the vines were extremely hard and couldn't be chopped off with a sword, it would be a big problem. The people from the Zhuge clan also jumped down. As they flew, they wielded their swords and sabers. Countless big trees were chopped down. Then, each of them carried a big tree as big as a hill and jumped down. When the vines fell, they would immediately set them on fire. The 3 supreme martial artists stood beside the 2 dukes with their hands behind their backs. Their eyes were covered with black cloth, and they were ready to attack at any time. The situation was tense, and a fight could break out at any moment. Yi Shiyu laughed tenderly and said, Brother Zhuge, let's go down too. It's too far away from here. I really want to see how Hong Wuliang, who defeated Lang Yilang in love 2,000 years ago, looks like. Zhuge smiled and nodded. With a whoosh, the two of them also jumped down the cliff. The three supreme martial artists followed closely. Finally, there was no one on this mountain wall. We should go down now. From what these people said, they don't know that Wei Wuyan's teacher has already practiced the purple crystal hand for hundreds of years. Once these people attack, they will definitely attack with all their might. I'm afraid it's too late, Chu Yang transmitted his voice. It's okay. Zi Sheqing listened attentively to the movements below. She said lightly, since you want to show kindness, you should do it at the most important moment. How to show kindness to others and let them remember it for life is also a kind of knowledge. You have to learn this. You acted when his life wasn't in danger. At most, you could only make him feel grateful to you because he hadn't had the time to feel the horror of death. Therefore, his gratitude towards you wasn't very deep. However, you acted when his life was at stake. At that time, he would have died, and you would have become his second parent. Chapter 928. That's right, it's the three of us. The elder from the Zhuge clan said indifferently, Hong Wuliang, you've been holed up here for so many years that you've become dumb. Do you want to go out with us or do you want us to carry you out? Hong Wuliang chuckled and said, although I've been living in seclusion here and haven't gone out for many years, I'm not someone the three of you can handle. However, I really didn't expect that the three of you would also become Lang Yilang's lackeys. He suddenly said in a low voice, what benefits did Lang Yilang promise you? Have both the Yi clan and the Zhuge clan been caught by Lang Yilang? This isn't a good feeling, right? Ha ha. Yi Anran said indifferently, it's better to be caught by someone than to lose your life. Attack. With a loud roar, he charged forward with his body stretched out. The three of them attacked at the same time, forming a triangle and sandwiching Hong Wuliang. Hong Wuliang let out a loud shout and stretched out his hands. A pile of purple crystals at the side of the cave suddenly flew into his hands. He opened his mouth and took a deep breath. His skinny body suddenly swelled up and a thick purple aura was swallowed into his stomach. There were more than 1,000 purple crystals in this pile, but they were all sucked clean by him in an instant. Hong Wuliang's face turned red at once. He shouted, let's fight. He rushed forward and actually took the initiative to attack. The four of them attacked together. A figure flew over from the sky and jumped into the battle. It was Wei Wuyan. If you want to kill my teacher, you'll have to kill me first. Wei Wuyan let out a loud shout and rushed over with all his might. Yi Anran snorted and shouted, you actually dare to interfere in a battle between third-grade supreme martial artists. With a slap of his palm, a sharp whistling sound was heard. A thick fog was accurately aimed at Wei Wuyan's Wuyan sword. With a loud bang, the palm and Wuyan's sword faced each other. With a loud bang, Yi Anran didn't retreat at all. There wasn't even a red spot on his palm, but Wei Wuyan flew back with his sword and crashed heavily into the stone wall. Stones from the top of the cave fell down. With a cry, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Wei Wuyan was a half-step supreme martial artist, but compared to a third-grade supreme martial artist, he was as weak as a baby. The difference between the ranks of supreme martial artists was so clear-cut. Hong Wuliang and the other two people had already started fighting. The three of them were holding back their strength, so as not to cause the mountain peak to collapse. However, the howling wind was like a hurricane in the cave. In an instant, there was no sound in their ears. Hong Wuliang's expression was calm and he fought steadily. It was as if he didn't see his brother being sent flying. He was already seriously injured. Although his cultivation had increased a lot over the years, it was all thanks to the purple crystal's power. If he lost the purple crystal, he would not be able to escape the torture of the purple crystal hand even if his cultivation improved by another fold. Yi Anran watched the battle with his hands behind his back. Seeing that he was not needed for the time being, he slowly walked to Wei Wuyan's side and asked, Xiao, your teacher has the purple crystal hand? Who did it? Wei Wuyan snorted and laughed. Who is my master's biggest enemy? Yi Anran's expression changed. Lang Yilang? Wei Wuyan sneered. It's good that you know. He didn't want to answer the other party's question at first, But upon hearing that the other party didn't seem to know the truth of this matter and didn't even know that Lang Ilang had the purple crystal hand, therefore, he was naturally happy to tell him. The purple crystal hand was one of the most insidious martial arts techniques in the world, even more insidious than the hand of severing descendants. The hand of severing descendants was only targeted at young people. Generally, when one reached the supreme martial artist level, they were all old monsters who had lived for thousands of years. How would they have any thoughts of continuing their lineage? Therefore, the experts weren't afraid of it. As for the purple crystal hand, it was used against experts. Unless you exceeded the supreme martial artist level and crossed the celestial realm, you could avoid it. Otherwise, even if you were a 5th grade supreme martial artist, if you were ambushed by the purple crystal hand, you wouldn't be able to escape the fate of being accompanied by the purple crystal all day long. There would be a day when he would be bankrupt, losing both his wealth and his life. The most insidious thing about the purple crystal hand was that it wouldn't kill you on the spot. Moreover, the lifespan of an expert was very long. The purple crystal hand would accompany you for your entire life, causing you to be tortured by the purple crystal hand all the way until you died. It was one of the most insidious martial arts techniques that experts of the heavenly layer were most afraid of. As long as the Yi clan and the Zhuge clan knew about this, they would naturally be on guard against Lang Ilang. In fact, they might even secretly kill him. Although Wei Wuyan didn't understand why Lang Ilang actually didn't show up personally this time and instead asked someone from a big clan to do it, it could be considered a bad move. As for what exactly his intentions were, he definitely wouldn't hide it for Lang Ilang. So Lang Ilang has practiced the purple crystal hand. No wonder, no wonder. Yi Anran's expression was grave as he nodded slowly. He didn't know what he was thinking about. He turned to look at the battlefield and said dispassionately, "How many years has it been since your master practiced the purple crystal hand?" Wei Wuyan replied, "He has been missing for as many years as he has. If it wasn't for the purple crystal hand, who would be willing to hide? Would you? Ho! You have a sharp tongue." Yi Anran smiled. "In that case, all these years, it has been you who has been providing purple crystals to your master." "That's right. As his younger brother, this is what I should do," Wei Wuyan said proudly. "What a loyal and devoted disciple." Yi Anran laughed sarcastically. "Your master must have told you that he needs a large amount of purple crystals after practicing the purple crystal hand. Every day, he needs purple crystals to maintain the lowest consumption, right?" Wei Wuyan said furiously, "Which one of those who has practiced the purple crystal hand isn't like this? Do I need you to tell me that?" Yi Anran smiled strangely. "Which one isn't like this? Then which one have you seen? Other than your master, who else have you seen who has practiced the purple crystal hand?" Wei Wuyan snorted. "Even if I haven't, only purple crystals can treat the purple crystal hand. There is no doubt about this." "That's right. You must have suffered a lot in order to get purple crystals for your master all these years, right?" Yi Anran's expression was strange. Wei Wuyan snorted and didn't say anything else. Thinking of the suffering he had gone through all these years, how could it be described as a lot of suffering? Back then, his wife had just given birth and was taking care of the child at home. His master urgently needed him to deliver the purple crystals, so he had no choice but to leave his wife alone at home and deliver the purple crystals to his master first. But who would have thought that it would be an eternal farewell? When he hurried back after delivering the purple crystals to his master, his beloved wife had already become a cold corpse. Even his own son had died an unnatural death. Till now, he still didn't know who his enemy was. How could it be just a lot of suffering? For his master, he had sacrificed his family, his youth and all his life's efforts. But Wei Wuyan had hidden all these in his heart and never told anyone. At one side, Hong Wuliang shouted loudly, "Yi Anran, what nonsense are you talking about? Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. Don't harm my brother." As he shouted, he wanted to rush over. But the two supreme martial artists were firmly restraining him. Hong Wuliang couldn't rush over and could only shout continuously. Yi Anran smiled mockingly and said, "What a righteous master and a loyal brother. Ha ha ha. It's a pity that your loyal brother has been cheated and sold by your most respected and righteous master. Bullshit. Wei Wuyan was furious. His master's concern just now made Wei Wuyan tremble all over. In an instant, he only felt that all the suffering in his life was worth it. Seeing that Yi Anran actually wanted to slander his master, Wei Wuyan was instantly furious. Bullshit. Ha ha. Ask your master, he's right here. After getting the purple crystal hand, you can only maintain the minimum requirements and your cultivation won't improve at all. But if you want your cultivation to continue to improve after getting the purple crystal hand, you must start to use double the amount of purple crystals from the first day you get the purple crystal hand. Do you understand? Double the amount of purple crystals. Yi Anran laughed loudly and said, "Your master got the purple crystal hand all these years, but we were of the same generation back then. We've reached such a realm now, but he, a person who got the purple crystal hand, has also reached such a realm. He's really damn fast. If he didn't use double the amount of purple crystals, how could he have improved?" Wei Wuyan was shouting angrily, but when he heard this, he was suddenly dumbfounded. After a long time, he shouted crazily, "Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit!" Yi Anran smiled and said, "Your master is right here. If you don't believe me, why don't you ask him directly?" Wei Wuyan didn't believe him, but he couldn't help but look at his master. Hong Wuliang was fighting. His face was red and he said deeply, "Wuyan, don't believe him. Don't you understand what kind of person I am?" Wei Wuyan said blankly, "Yes, master." He had been with Hong Wuliang for more than 1,000 years. How could he not understand his master? As soon as Hong Wuliang said this, Wei Wuyan immediately knew that Yi Anran was telling the truth. If it wasn't true, Hong Wuliang would have already stomped his feet and roared angrily. But now, Hong Wuliang was explaining to him in such a heavy and serious tone. Explanation. Wei Wuyan only felt that his mind was buzzing. He suddenly remembered Chu Yang's words, "With the purple crystal hand, one's cultivation can't improve." Of course, if Chu Yang didn't finish his sentence. However, Wei Wuyan finally understood why Chu Yang wanted to say something but hesitated at that time. Chu Yang was worried that if his master improved instead and told him the truth, he would be very sad. Wei Wuyan only felt that the world was spinning. He muttered, "Then my wife. Then my wife. Didn't she die too unjustly? If that was really the case, wouldn't the purple crystals that he had earned all these years be enough to support his master for another 700 years? If that was really the case, why would he have to rush over to deliver the purple crystals and cause his beloved wife to die? You have a wife? Son? Dead?" Yi Anran looked at him pitifully. "Yes," Wei Wuyan said muddle-headedly. "Then, your wife and son didn't die unjustly at all. They deserved to die." Yi Anran laughed mockingly and said, "Their existence will greatly slow down the speed at which you earn purple crystals for your master. If they don't deserve to die, who should?" As if a bolt from the blue had struck his head, Wei Wuyan suddenly felt that the world had changed colors. Chapter 929. Wei Wuyan suddenly recalled that during that period of time, he indeed went out on fewer missions. How could he not be attached to his family when he had just gotten a wife? Moreover, it was after half a lifetime of hardships. When he was nearly 100 years old, he unintentionally saved a family. That was how he got his wife's favor and committed herself to him. Although he looked like he was in his prime at that time, he was indeed a white-haired and beautiful woman in terms of age. For his master, he had never thought of having a family. Otherwise, he wouldn't have waited until he was more than 100 years old. He only wanted to be an ox or a horse for the rest of his life to repay his master's kindness in nurturing him. When he was old and took care of his master, he would be lonely. At that time, he was moved by true love and got married. However, he only dared to tell his wife's family that he was in his 40s. After marriage, the couple was in love. During that period of time, he was as happy as a fairy. After he had a wife and a family, he felt that he was no longer a rootless duckweed. He finally had a root, a concern, and a goal. After 3 years of marriage, he found love again. It was really like a pearl or a treasure. He only felt that there was no other person in the world who was happier than him at that time. He remembered that at that time, he almost rushed over to tell his master that he was going to get married. He was already more than 100 years old, but he was like a child showing off in front of his father, telling his master about his happiness. He had already forgotten what his master's expression was like at that time. However, it wasn't as happy as he expected. He only remembered that he was a little disappointed at that time, but then he was immersed in happiness. On the day of the wedding, he begged his master shamelessly for a long time before his master went down the mountain to preside over his wedding. After that, he hurried back. He still remembered that after he had a son, he rushed over to tell his master the good news. His master's face was a little ugly at that time. After marriage, he was happy, but he never dared to forget his master. Whenever he was free, he would do missions to earn purple crystals and send them to his master. However, because he was a newlywed, there were still a few times when he was almost delayed. But he didn't. That time, he received a notice from his master that there were no more purple crystals. So, he threw everything aside and sent the purple crystals first. Although his wife and son had died an unnatural death after he came back, he never doubted his master in his heart. He also never resented his master. What kind of person was his master? His master was the person who nurtured him. Without his master, how could he have today's achievements? His master would never do anything to harm him. Although master was strict and sometimes unreasonable, he was always alone here. It was normal for him to be in a bad mood. No one could stand being alone for so many years. Therefore, after he had nothing to worry about, he decided to stay here as well. Other than earning purple crystals from missions, he would accompany his master here. And now, he had actually heard such a terrifying truth. At the side, the battle between the three of them was getting more and more intense. Hong Wuliang's face was like iron. He attacked left and right, and his eyes were calm and cold. The icy aura that belonged to the supreme of ice and snow lingered around his body. Although the entire cave was filled with smoke, it was also very cold. Wei Wuyan felt as if he was in a dream. Looking at his master who was moving around like lightning, he only felt that he had fallen into a nightmare that he could not wake up from. Everything he saw and heard seemed so unreal. Wei Wuyan's tears finally fell. At such a close distance, and Yi Anran had deliberately raised his voice, how could Hong Wuliang not hear him? Just a moment ago, he was still explaining, but now, he didn't even bother to explain. Master! Wei Wuyan cried out with heart-wrenching pain. The battle over there stopped abruptly. The two supreme martial artists of the Zhuge clan leaped back at the same time, and the three of them stood in a triangle formation. Hong Wuliang stood there in a daze. When he heard his disciple's heartbreaking cry, his body trembled, but he didn't turn back. He sighed and said, Wuyan, remember that I once told you that you must not have any thoughts of family. That's the taboo of the inner demons of martial arts cultivation. If you want to climb to the peak of martial arts, don't think about those things. Wei Wuyan's mind was buzzing, and he saw stars. He said weakly, That was before my marriage. After I got married, Master, you know how much I cherish and depend on my family. I like the feeling of having a family. As he spoke, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his heart. Gentle and virtuous wife, lively and cute son. He still remembered that as long as he went out, his wife would always stand at the door to send him off. His return date was never fixed, but every time he returned, his wife would already be at the door to welcome him. You're going out? You must be more careful. With me at home, you can rest assured. Come back safe and sound. You're back. You must be tired from the journey. I'll go get some water for you to wash up. Take a nap and rest first. He still remembered when that little life was just born, lying in his arms, biting his finger and looking at him with a pair of clear eyes. That soft touch, that innocent gaze, that feeling of being connected by flesh and blood, conquered him in an instant. When he squealed and used his soft and chubby little hands that were full of fat pits to touch his face and smiled happily, he felt so satisfied and happy in his heart. He once swore that he would use his life and everything to protect his wife and his son. The oath was still beside his ears, but his lovely wife turned into a vengeful spirit. His wife lay stiffly on the ground, her face full of disbelief. She was already dead, but her eyes were still wide open in shock. Although her eyes were lifeless, he could see the shock in her eyes. His wife's eyes didn't even have time to show resentment and reluctance. Why? His lively and cute son had already turned into a pile of bright red meat paste. Who was so cruel? Even a baby was not spared. He remembered that he fainted on the spot. After a long time, he woke up and roared at the sky in extreme madness. From then on, besides carrying out missions to earn purple crystals, he went to the ends of the earth to look for his enemy. Ha ha ha. Looking for my enemy. Wei Wuyan suddenly laughed sadly. The four supreme martial artists looked at him. Wei Wuyan supported himself against the stone wall and stood up shakily. With his cultivation, even if he was seriously injured and his limbs were all broken, it wouldn't be so difficult for him to stand up. But now, Wei Wuyan was like an extremely weak ordinary person who had one foot in the grave. He only felt that his limbs didn't have any strength and his heart was empty. His heartbeat was obviously so fierce and wild, but when he listened to the sound of his own heartbeat, it was as if it came from another time and space. He finally stood up and supported himself against the stone wall. With blood flowing from the corners of his mouth, he staggered 2 steps forward, looked at Hong Wuliang and asked, "Teacher, I only want to ask you one thing." Hong Wuliang let out a long sigh. Looking up, he closed his eyes and said indifferently, "Ask away." Wei Wuyan's voice was very calm. Even he himself found it strange that his voice could actually be so calm at this moment. "Teacher, and Xiao Zhan, were you killed by you?" Wei Wuyan repeated the last few words several times before he finally completed his sentence. His face was pale and his body was on the verge of collapsing. But his eyes stared fiercely at his teacher without blinking. Hong Wuliang chuckled and said indifferently, "Brother Yi, my whereabouts have already been exposed because of the encirclement today. I originally thought that it was Lang Yilang, that bastard, so I didn't move and waited here for him to come in so that I could have a battle to the death with him." He smiled indifferently. "I didn't expect it to be the 3 of you who came in. There must be other people outside, right?" His younger brother Wei Wuyan was waiting for him to answer, but he was trying to change the topic. Yi Anran nodded. "That's right. In order to capture you, the Yi clan, Zhuge clan, and Lan clan have mobilized a total of 3 supreme martial artists. The 3 of us are here, but there are 3 more outside." Hong Wuliang chuckled. "Looks like I won't be able to escape this calamity today." Yi Anran said indifferently, "Now, you indeed have nowhere to go." "Nowhere to go?" Hong Wuliang murmured in an extremely low voice. He raised his head and thought silently for a while. Then, he didn't speak anymore. Wei Wuyan's body trembled even more violently. He roared, "Teacher, I'm asking you a question." This sentence had already sounded like a roar. His voice had already lost its usual reverence and admiration. Hong Wuliang looked up at the sky and said softly, "I already have nowhere to go. Only death awaits me. There's no harm in telling you the truth." As he spoke, he looked at Wei Wuyan. His voice was actually very calm as he said softly, "Since you've already guessed it, what else do you want me to say?" "Guessed it. Guessed it." Wei Wuyan murmured. His eyes were empty. Suddenly, he laughed wildly. He laughed so hard that his whole body trembled. He laughed so hard that he used his hand to support himself against the wall again. He laughed so hard that big drops of tears gushed out from his eyes continuously. His laughter continued and reverberated. However, the 4 supreme martial artists present all felt an extreme misery. This laughter was indeed 100 times more miserable than crying. Wei Wuyan laughed and asked, "Just for purple crystals? Just for the purple crystals that you have to not only maintain your injuries but also improve? You want to rely on me to earn them? You think I'm earning them too slowly? Is that right? Is that right?" Hong Wuliang said lightly, "You shouldn't have slowed down the speed of earning purple crystals after you got married." He looked at his younger brother with some pity and said, "Actually, back then, I was also in a very difficult position. Wuyan, you're my only younger brother. I placed all my hopes on you. My heart ached for you. I thought very highly of you. You were in a very difficult position. You placed all your hopes on me. You were heartless to me. You thought very highly of me. Wei Wuyan laughed wildly. You killed my beloved wife just because you felt heartache for me. You killed my only child just because you thought very highly of me. Wei Wuyan's eyes widened. Teacher. Is this something you should say? Damn it, is this something a human should say? Chapter 930. Hong Wuliang's thin face became a little distorted as he looked at his brother's joyful expression. He finally turned his head away. But then he suddenly turned back. Wuyan, very good. You're going to fall out with me because of a woman? And at this moment of life and death? Wei Wuyan gritted his teeth and said, just a woman? Just a person? That's my wife. My child. In your mouth, she's just a woman. Hong Wuliang said coldly, Wei Wuyan, when you were at your wits' end back then, I took you in as my disciple and nurtured you carefully. I taught you all the unique skills that shocked the martial world. Have I ever asked for anything in return? I trained you from a little kid who knew nothing to the cultivation you have today. I let you shake the world with your might and make your name known to all. Have I ever asked for anything in return? Back then, I traveled all over the world to find elixirs for you, to cleanse your body and lay your foundation. I traveled thousands of miles through wind, frost, and snow. Have I ever asked for anything in return? I was injured and needed purple crystals to treat my illness. And you were filial. I was comforted and thought that I didn't recognize the wrong person. But what about you? As Hong Wuliang spoke, he felt that he had sacrificed a lot. Suddenly, he became self-righteous. What did you do? After you got married, you actually left me behind. There were a few times when the supply of purple crystals was almost cut off. You, on the other hand, only cared about your own happiness and left me alone in this desolate place. If I let them live, wouldn't I be killed by them? Hong Wuliang said hatefully, if I didn't kill them, should I have waited for myself to die from my injuries? Wei Wuyan looked at his master in a daze. At this moment, he felt that this person was so unfamiliar and so disgusting. He murmured, Master, do you know? On the day of the child's 1-month birthday, I told Iya that when the child is 1 year old, I would send the mother and daughter here so that you can teach another grand disciple. Our whole family will be with you and serve you so that you can enjoy your old age. With Iya here, I'm also relieved. I'll work hard outside to earn purple crystals and come back occasionally. Our whole family will be reunited. Wei Wuyan's tears fell like rain. I have fantasized countless times about us 3 generations gathering together happily and harmoniously. I even saw you lovingly protecting the naughty child and not letting me beat him. I've thought of everything, and Iya has agreed. In the future, this will be our route and our home. With the 2 of them by your side, I'm relieved. You won't be lonely. At that time, the child had just turned 1 month old. Iya and I were worried that the child would not be able to bear the pain in the cave, so we temporarily stayed outside and waited for the child to turn 1 year old. I didn't tell you because I wanted to give you a surprise. I didn't expect this surprise to become a bolt from the blue. Ha ha ha, I regret it so much. I regret it so much. Wei Wuyan's tears flowed down. He was so heartbroken. Hong Wuliang suddenly opened his mouth wide and took 3 steps back. Ah, are you telling the truth? Wei Wuyan finally exploded and roared, I've never lied to you in my whole life. Why should I lie to you now? Do you know? After Yi was killed by you, she died with grievances. Do you know that she didn't even have time to be resentful until she died? There was only disbelief. Only disbelief. Why didn't she dare to believe it? Because she didn't expect you to kill her. She didn't even dream that the person who killed her would be the master that her husband respected the most and wanted to be filial to the most. You killed her so cruelly. Are you still a human? Are you still a human? Wei Wuyan roared. Hong Wuliang took 2 steps back helplessly and said dejectedly, Is that so? Wei Wuyan laughed miserably and muttered to himself, Funny, funny, really funny. Ha ha ha. This world is really funny. Ha ha ha. As he laughed crazily, blood spurted out from his mouth. He was seriously injured and his mind was in a mess. But he didn't care at all and let the blood that represented the vital energy spurt out from his mouth drop by drop. After laughing for a long time, Wei Wuyan finally knelt on the ground weakly. He pressed his forehead against the ground and cried loudly. He cried and laughed as if he had already gone crazy. Little Jean, my beloved wife, my son, the enemy who killed you, I've found him. I've found him, ha ha ha. Isn't it funny? Don't you think it's funny? Wei Wuyan smashed his forehead on the ground fiercely. He was so sad that his heart was about to break. On one hand, I vowed in front of your graves that I would avenge you. On the other hand, I came to the enemy who killed you to ask about your well-being and fulfill my filial piety. On the other hand, I risked my life to earn purple crystals for the enemy who killed you. You just looked at me like this from below. You looked at me being stupid. You looked at me being ordered around like a fool. You looked at me dying countless times. Didn't you feel sad down there? Didn't you feel helpless? Didn't you feel angry? Isn't this the greatest sorrow? You all died in his hands. He killed my beloved wife and my only son. He killed my happiness, cut off my hope, and let my Wei family have no descendant. But after that, I actually risked my life to serve him for more than 100 years. My beloved wife died with grievances. My child was crushed into meat paste by him. Did you see it? Did you see it? That pool of bright red meat paste, who dares to recognize that it's my child? That's actually my child. That child was actually killed by my master, and I actually lived like this for more than 100 years. Am I still human? Am I still human? Wei Wuyan suddenly raised his head. He looked horrifying and roared towards the sky. His forehead was already dripping with blood. The corners of his eyes were already cracked, and blood kept flowing out. Yi Anran and the other two looked at Wei Wuliang with some disdain. None of them were good people. But it was really the first time they saw someone who wanted to kill his brother's wife and child, and cut off all his distracting thoughts to make him work for him. Not to mention, all of this was caused by him. For example, you only need 1 purple crystal a day, but you insist on having 2. He forced his own disciple to risk his life to earn purple crystals, and he actually complained that his disciple's wife was a hindrance to him. What kind of logic was this? At this moment, outside the cave, Zi Sheqing was also recounting to Chu Yang what had happened in the cave. Her cultivation was powerful. It was easy for her to eavesdrop on the movements here from such a long distance. Chu Yang was filled with righteous indignation. He was dumbfounded. It's actually like this. Zi Sheqing snorted coldly. I've already said that Wei Wuyan's master is not a good person. But you didn't believe me. Chu Yang smiled bitterly. I also have a master. I know how sacred my master is. The person I respect the most in my life is my master. So, I can completely understand Wei Wuyan's loyalty to his master. I never thought that there would be such a master in this world. Chu Yang sighed and thought of Meng Chaoran. He believed that if he and his master had really reached the level of Wei Wuyan's master, his master would have already killed himself. He wouldn't want to be a burden to him and Wei Wuyan. Meng Chaoran was such a person. But Wei Wuyan's master was the other extreme. In this world, the most terrible things are nothing but greed. Zi Sheqing said lightly, when there's no danger to life and death, any bad person can look like a saint. But when it's a critical moment, when he's out of control, he'll surprise people. Wei Wuyan's master, Hong Wuliang, is such a person. Zi Sheqing suddenly paused and said, no. It turns out that his master's wife was the lover of Lang Yilang. But she was raped by Hong Wuliang. She had no choice but to give herself to him. There's such a thing. The veins on Chu Yang's forehead almost popped out. Shameless villain. He's indeed a shameless villain. Zi Sheqing nodded. I'm going to take action. Wei Wuyan is in a very bad situation now. Chu Yang said, okay. In such a situation, if he were to take action, he would only be a burden to Zi Sheqing. He might as well hide at one side and wait. Just at the moment when Zi Sheqing was about to appear, there was a sudden loud bang. The entire cliff on the opposite side suddenly broke into pieces and collapsed. In the midst of the smoke, 4 figures shot up into the air at lightning speed. Just now, The atmosphere in the cave was also close to exploding. Yi Anran sneered and said, "Little one, do you really think that your master is a good person? It's hard for you to be so loyal to him, but this guy has always been good at disguising himself. Lang Yilong, like you, was also tricked into working for him, risking his life to enter the martial world." "Ha ha ha." Wei Wuyen muttered, "It's thorns." Yi Anran said, "Do you know why Lang Yilong is so irreconcilable with him?" "Ha ha ha." Hong Wuliang shouted furiously, "Stop." Yi Anran said, "Why should I stop? Don't tell me that you're not allowed to talk about what you've done." Back then, Lang Yilong saved a woman and the two of them fell in love with each other. When your master saw that the woman was beautiful, he actually used despicable means to rape her. She had no choice but to leave Lang Yilong heartbroken. From then on, she disappeared without a trace. "You're talking nonsense." Hong Wuliang roared furiously. "I'm talking nonsense. Tell me yourself, how did your wife die?" Yi Anran sneered. "Wasn't she still tortured to death by you? You were jealous and angry that your wife couldn't forget Lang Yilong and actually killed him. Lang Yilong traveled thousands of miles to mourn for her but was rejected by you. It was only after Lang Yilong secretly checked the corpse that he found out the reason. That was why he fought with you. Hong Wuliang, tell me yourself, am I speaking the truth?" Yi Anran sneered. "I'm talking nonsense. In the big clans, every clan has records of supreme martial artists. All the big clans have records of this matter. Ho, Hong Wuliang, you despicable little one." Chapter 931. Yi Anran's words directly poked at Hong Wuliang's sore spot, causing Hong Wuliang to retaliate strongly. At the moment when his wife was mentioned, Hong Wuliang suddenly exploded. "What do you know? Yi Anran, what right do you have to criticize my family matters?" Hong Wuliang roared. His lotus-like features twisted and his whole body trembled. Suddenly, he retreated with a shout. Everyone thought that he was going to attack, but they didn't expect him to retreat in such a situation. They were all stunned for a moment before they attacked at the same time. Hong Wuliang had already flown more than 100 feet away. He opened his hand and sucked. On the ground, thousands of purple crystals were sucked into the air. In an instant, they turned into a round purple gas and were sucked into his mouth like a whale sucking in water. Only then did he turn around abruptly. With a hideous smile, extremely strong cold air suddenly emitted from his body and exploded violently. His palms crazily struck out hundreds of times without any restraint. The three of them cursed in their hearts at the same time. They had to deal with such a violent attack with all their might. They had forgotten about this point. As a person with the purple crystal hand, after a period of time, the speed of absorbing the power of the purple crystals would become faster and faster. They could even suddenly release all the power of the purple crystals. Although the injuries of the purple crystal hand in their bodies would be aggravated by 5 times after this attack was still unstoppable. Left with no choice, the three of them exploded with all their might to resist. At the same time, Yi Anran sent out a telepathic message. "Pay attention to the top." The power of the 4 supreme martial artists suddenly exploded in the cave. With a boom, the space around the cave expanded and split open at the same time. The huge mountain above also disintegrated abruptly. The whole mountain suddenly burst open and collapsed. Hong Wuliang roared and flew upwards towards the collapsed mountain like lightning. His palms were like huge axes that split open the sky, striking all the way up. Facing the collapsing mountain, he actually dashed upwards through every gap that was left by a hair's breadth. Moreover, his body was nimble. He dodged and moved. When the huge rocks came down, he smashed them with his palms and continuously created a path for him to dash outward. Below, Yi Anran and the other two shouted at the same time. They followed behind him and dashed upwards with the same movement. What kind of power was the sudden collapse of the mountain? It could be said that the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. However, these 4 supreme martial artists were charging straight up towards the mountain that was crashing down on them. It was as if there was nothing there. Wei Wuyen roared sorrowfully, "I can't die, I want revenge." He stood up and was about to rush out, but he was seriously injured and couldn't rush out. Suddenly, a huge rock came crashing down and smashed him into the ground. The people waiting outside were wondering why there wasn't any movement inside. Suddenly, there was a huge explosion and the entire mountain collapsed. Countless boulders fell from above. They couldn't help being shocked and quickly dodged. Zhuge shouted, "Don't panic. Seal the sky, seal the sky. Hong Wuliang wants to escape from above." He suddenly regretted it. He had calculated everything, but how could he have overlooked this point? This was the battle prowess of a supreme being. In the blink of an eye, as the mountain collapsed, four silhouettes shot up into the sky like lightning. One of them was in the front, emitting a chilling aura. The other three were behind, emitting a towering rage. Hong Wuliang laughed loudly. "Yi Anran, I'll take my leave." Everyone was a third-grade supreme martial artist. He had the upper hand and was already leading by quite a distance. As long as he changed his movement technique, he would be able to escape quickly. And under such circumstances, no one present could catch up with him. Yi Anran was angry and anxious. "Hong Wuliang, you shameless villain. Your disciple is buried below. Are you not going to care about him?" Hong Wuliang laughed loudly. "He already doesn't recognize me as his master. Why should I care about him?" He extended his body and flew away like a meteor. His body actually made a swoosh sound. Yi Anran sighed dejectedly, knowing that he couldn't stop him no matter what. Right at this moment, a faint voice said, "Who allowed you to leave?" Along with this faint voice, a white figure suddenly appeared in front of Hong Wuliang. He stretched out a hand gently and pinched Hong Wuliang's skull as if he was pinching a snail with 3 fingers. Under this person's hands, Hong Wuliang actually didn't have any strength to struggle at all. He was just carried like a dead fish. His body swayed and swayed in the air, but he couldn't even say a word. Yi Anran and the other two involuntarily stopped and gasped at the same time. Who was this person? The three of them looked at each other in shock. He didn't even see how he came out, nor did he see when he flew up. It was as if he had been there all along. He only stretched out his hand lightly and caught Hong Wuliang as easily as catching a mosquito that was slowly flying over. What was Hong Wuliang's cultivation? What was Hong Wuliang's speed when he hurriedly ran for his life just now? Not to mention other things, how could Hong Wuliang be slow when he could make a sonic boom when he just started? But under this person's hands, he was just like a puppet that couldn't move on its own. Then, this person flew down with Hong Wuliang in his hand and gently kicked him. He kicked towards the void. With a whoosh, a hurricane was formed. An invincible force suddenly came out horizontally. The entire upper half of the mountain that had just collapsed was kicked a few thousand feet away strangely. Then, it landed on the other side with a loud rumble. The ground here was also shaking, but the sound was much softer than before. This person waved his sleeves, and the remaining big rocks at the bottom flew out like straw. In an instant, only a cave with its ceiling opened was left. The gravel made a sound, and a bloody figure stood up from the pile of gravel. His face was full of blood and his body was ragged. His appearance couldn't be seen clearly, and only a pair of blood-red eyes could be seen. Then, this person staggered out, step by step. He seemed to be weak all over, but there was an aura of destruction around him. Puff, puff, puff. The three supreme martial artists were so shocked that they couldn't even stand steadily in the air. They landed on the ground one by one, protecting Yi Shiyu and Zhuge behind them. They looked as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Everyone looked up and saw this white figure holding Hong Wuliang standing a few hundred feet in front of them. This was an ostensibly safe distance. Although everyone knew that with this white figure's cultivation, he could kill them with just a raise of his hand, but seeing that he was standing so far away, everyone still felt a little relieved. They couldn't see what this figure looked like, and couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. It seemed to be completely covered by a layer of hazy white light. Everyone could only feel a cold gaze sweeping over them. "I'll deal with this person. How about you all deal with him?" The white figure finally opened his mouth. Once he opened his mouth, he actually spoke in a negotiating tone. It was a woman's voice. Everyone's hearts shook, and then they relaxed. Women were always soft-hearted. It seemed that there wasn't much danger today. At the same time, everyone became suspicious again. A woman? Where did such a powerful woman come from? I've never heard of such a powerful female expert in the heavenly layer. Feng Yuro could be counted as one, but this person in white clearly wasn't Feng Yuro. Yi Shiyu's mouth trembled, and he said with a pale face, "If this senior wants to deal with this person personally, I have no objections." Yi Shiyu naturally had his reasons for speaking before Zhuge. Although he was afraid, he also knew that this was a great opportunity. He had never seen such a peerless expert in his life. If he could leave a good impression on her, it would be very beneficial. Moreover, in Yi Shiyu's heart, there was another thought. We're all women, sisters. It should be easier to talk to, therefore, he spoke before her. And a wise man submits to circumstances. He immediately agreed to the white-robed person's request. Once Yi Shiyu spoke, the white-robed person suddenly became quiet. Everyone clearly saw that the white-robed person actually trembled as she grabbed Hong Wuliang's arm. Then, the white-robed person took in a breath of cold air. A strange emotion suddenly spread in his heart. Yi Shiyu instantly felt that something was wrong. His scalp inexplicably felt numb, and he was confused. He thought to himself, I didn't say anything wrong. Just as he was feeling puzzled, the white-robed person threw Hong Wuliang onto the ground, stepped on him with one foot, and opened her other hand. Yi Shiyu involuntarily flew up into the air. He exclaimed in shock, "Elder! I. The man in white grabbed Yi Shiyu and without any explanation, he slapped Yi Shiyu's face like a torrential downpour. She slapped him in the front, slapped him in the back, slapped him in the front, and slapped him repeatedly. Yi Shiyu couldn't move. His face was slapped to the left by one slap, then slapped to the right by another slap, and so on. In the blink of an eye, this third master Yi was beaten into a pig's head. His face was swollen. His eyes were filled with confusion. How did I offend you? Why did you hit me without any explanation? I'll let you. The white-robed person said angrily, You've disgusted me along the way, and now you actually dare to do so in front of me. Yi Shiyu widened his eyes miserably. So it's because of this. Ayo, what a blunder, go back. The white-robed person kicked third master Yi's stomach, and Yi Shiyu slipped back like he was on a slide. He actually happened to be standing at his original position again. After calming himself down, he hurriedly cupped his fists and laughed heartily. Elder, thank you for your teaching. Elder, thank you for your mercy. This sentence was already spoken in an authentic manly tone. After being beaten up, he actually started to thank the white-robed person immediately. The white-robed person snorted and said, Shut up. Yi Shiyu smiled apologetically and said flatteringly, Elder, if you ask me to shut up, I'll definitely not say a word. As he said, he indeed shut his mouth, looking like an obedient child. He turned around and walked behind Zhuge, but as he walked, he couldn't help but shake his butt twice, as if he had suddenly realized something. Then, he walked with a majestic gait, and only after 5 steps did he turn around and stand valiantly and proudly. Chapter 932. Zhuge wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. He took a few big steps forward and bowed respectfully. He said, Since Elder has said so, we'll naturally obey. I sincerely hope that you can come to the Zhuge clan to give us some pointers when you are free. The entire Zhuge clan will definitely be grateful to you. The white-robed man nodded lightly. Oh. Zhuge pretended to be hesitant and said, Elder, please bestow us with your name. We're after all juniors. We'll be able to answer to our clans when we return. Senior, please be magnanimous and forgive this junior's rudeness. Zhuge's every word and action displayed the classic elegance and respect of a textbook example. His voice was gentle and his words were reasonable. Every word he said seemed to be sincere from the bottom of his heart. The white-robed man nodded. You can go. I can't tell you my name. Zhuge was startled and said, Yes. He bowed again and said, Since that's the case, we'll be waiting for Elder to come to the Zhuge clan anytime. We'll definitely open our doors and welcome you. The white-robed man said lightly, Go. Zhuge said, Yes. He didn't hesitate anymore. He bowed and walked backward for 8 steps. Then, He straightened his back, turned around and waved his hand. Let's go. Everyone immediately left in a single file. They didn't even look back. They acted as if they didn't see Wei Wuyan, who was getting closer and closer. Everyone knew clearly that the white-robed man flattened the mountain to save this person. Who dared to say a word? After walking for 1,000 feet, Zhuge looked up to the sky and roared. The few people who were hiding behind the mountain came over like shooting stars. They said a few words and left together. Chu Yang faintly heard someone say, "They're leaving just like that." Then, he didn't say anything. He must have been glared at by Zhuge. Yi Shiyu walked valiantly for 1,000 feet. When he turned around the foot of the mountain, his waist finally went limp and he started to twist his butt again. As he twisted his butt, he broke out in cold sweat. But he didn't dare to complain. He knew that although he had walked far away, the white-robed man would definitely be able to hear him if he spoke now. Zhuge then smiled. "Brother Yi, how does it feel?" "Me." Yi Shiyu turned his head away. I ignored him angrily. "This guy is digging a hole for me to jump into again." Zhuge laughed out loud. After a long while, he said with some lingering fear, "We were lucky enough to be able to escape alive after encountering such an expert." He looked back and said with a strange expression, "But why does this voice sound so familiar? I haven't seen Lan Ruoyun and the others yet. I don't know where they went even though such a big commotion happened." Suddenly, he sucked in a breath of cold air and stamped his feet. "So that's how it is." "I see." Yi Shiyu asked curiously, "What are you up to again?" Zhu Ji sucked in a cold breath, his face pale. "I finally remember why this voice is so familiar. So it's her. Sigh, looks like Lan Ruoyun and the others are all dead now." "What do you mean?" Yi Shiyu asked curiously. "Do you still remember? I heard Lan Ruoyun flirting with a girl when I used Heaven and Earth God to listen." Zhuge Shen was puzzled. "Yes, you're saying?" Yi Shiyu suddenly thought of something and opened his mouth wide in shock. "You guessed it too." "Yes, the girl he was flirting with is the one who was talking to us just now. Her voice is the same." Zhuge smiled bitterly. "Damn." Yi Shiyu couldn't help but say, "She's the one Lan Ruoyun wanted to fight with on the bed, on the water, on the tree." Zhuge rolled his eyes. "That's her. Lan Ruoyun really has good eyesight. He found such a person to flirt with and even wanted to fight with her. Damn." This time, more than 30 people scolded together in shock. That Lan Ruoyun is really daring. After scolding, everyone then came back to their senses and looked at each other. Lan Ruoyun was dead. That old monster was definitely going to be angry. As for Lan Ruoyun's death, he died when he was in a team with them. This matter, let's go home quickly. Report this matter to the clan, Yi Shiyu said decisively. Okay. Zhuge's face was solemn. The two of them looked at each other and saw each other's solemn face. They couldn't help but be mentally prepared for the upcoming storm. Zi Sheqing grabbed Hong Wuliang and stood there. Wei Wuyan walked in step by step with difficulty. Chu Yang hurriedly appeared with Chu Le. "Brother Wei, are you okay?" Wei Wuyan looked at him with lifeless eyes and smiled bitterly. "What can happen to me?" Zi Sheqing said lightly, "Wei Wuyan, it's my fault for criticizing your teacher in front of you that day. I was wrong then. I hope you don't blame me. Right was right, wrong was wrong." Even though what she said back then had been confirmed, and Hong Wuliang was indeed a despicable person, she still apologized to Wei Wuyan for what she said back then. Wei Wuyan smiled bitterly. "I don't think you're wrong at all now. I only hate myself for being stupid." He raised his head in a daze and was in a daze for a while. Then, he lowered his head again and looked at Hong Wuliang on the ground. "Misty, I want to talk to him for a while." Sheqing lifted her leg and pointed at Hong Wuliang's body. Hong Wuliang's whole body trembled. Extreme pain and grief flashed in his eyes. Zi Sheqing sealed his dantian and meridians. "You don't have to leave." Wei Wuyan said softly, "I also need a witness." Sheqing and Chu Yang agreed at the same time. Wei Wuyan turned to look at Hong Wuliang. His eyes were full of hatred, but his tears couldn't help but flow down. His whole body trembled violently. "Teacher." Wei Wuyan's mouth trembled. "Why?" Is it really just like that? Hong Wuliang looked at him with a complicated look. A hint of guilt flashed in his eyes. He shut his mouth and didn't say anything. Say something. Wei Wuyan roared in a low voice. Hong Wuliang didn't answer. Wei Wuyan sat down in front of him. He seemed to be saying something to Hong Wuliang, to himself, and to heaven and earth. His expression was sad and his gaze was perplexed. I, Wei Wuyan, took my teacher as my teacher when I was young. At that time, my teacher was extremely powerful. I was just a small child. My teacher took a fancy to my aptitude and asked my family for permission to take me in as his disciple. From then on, he nurtured me with all his heart. I walked step by step under my teacher's guidance. From nothing, I became a martial artist, martial master, martial great, revered, martial king, martial emperor, martial monarch, martial saint. My teacher has always been very pleased with my hard work. Every time I made progress, my teacher would reward me. Every time I went out to gain experience, if I suffered a loss, my teacher would definitely stand up for me. Later on, my family members grew old one by one and left me one by one. Only my teacher was left by my side. At that time, my teacher was all I could rely on. He was all my hope. He was the most noble person in my heart. That year, I was a martial emperor. Because I concentrated on martial arts, I didn't have any thoughts of having a family. My teacher was also very anxious. He often urged me, saying that he wanted to have a grand disciple. He even went around looking for matchmakers for me, but that year, my teacher came back with serious injuries. It was the vicious purple crystal hand. I was originally persuaded by my teacher and wanted to find a woman to spend my days with. But when I saw my teacher in such a state, I had to take care of him. So, I suppressed that thought. From then on, I roamed the martial world and took on missions with my life on the line. Until I met Yi. As Wei Wuyan said till here, he raised his face in disappointment and looked at the void with deep affection. But in the end, he didn't continue saying this part. He just swallowed his saliva. His breathing, which had already calmed down, gradually became like a broken bellows, whistling. Teacher, you're not saying anything. Does that mean you're admitting it? Is it because you can't refute it? Wei Wuyan asked in a low voice. He didn't wait for Hong Wuliang's reply and continued, right, Yi was killed by you. My son, Xiao Zhon, was also killed by you. Your kindness to me is as heavy as a mountain, but your hatred towards me is as deep as the sea. Wei Wuyan let out a long sigh. There's indeed a reason why I'm called Wei Wuyan. It's because I already have no face. I have no face to face my wife. Because she was killed by you. I have no face to face my child. Because he died because of me. I have no face to face my ancestors. Because I already have no descendants. I have no face to face the heavens. Because I acknowledged a thief as my father. I also have no face to face you, teacher. Because I will definitely kill you. I'll end you in my hands. I, Wei Wuyan, have let down my wife. I'm heartless. I've let down my children. I'm unkind. I've let down my parents. I'm unfilial. I've let down my teacher. I'm unrighteous. Indeed, I have no face. Wei Wuyan stood up and asked Chu Yang, do you have water? Let me wash my face. He took the water from Chu Yang's water bag and washed his face carefully. He tidied up his hair and asked again, do you have clothes? I'll change them. Chu Yang was silent for a long time. Finally, he took out a set of clothes. He didn't know what Wei Wuyan wanted to do. But he felt that Wei Wuyan was already dead at this moment. His heart was dead. Wei Wuyan took the clothes and put them on. He looked himself up and down and nodded. Then, he helped Hong Wuliang to sit up and let him lean against a rock. Then, Wei Wuyan took 3 steps back, tidied up his clothes and turned to face Hong Wuliang. He knelt down in a very pious manner and kowtowed solemnly. Teacher, I'll call you teacher for the last time. After this kowtow, we'll cut off all ties. You've helped me and destroyed me. But you shouldn't have killed my wife and child. You've done me a great favor. I don't want to do anything to you today. And I'm not willing to do it. I'm going to pay respects to my wife and child first and tell them about this matter. From today onwards, Wei Wuyan and you, Hong Wuliang, are absolutely irreconcilable. Wei Wuyan stood up. His eyes were cold and cold. Hong Wuliang, you old thief, the next time I see you, I'll take your life with my own hands. I'll take revenge for my wife and child. After saying this, he turned around resolutely and strode away. He didn't look back. Chapter 933. Hong Wuliang sat there and watched Wei Wuyan leave without looking back. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Chu Yang and Zi Sheqing stood at one side and watched everything quietly. Chu Yang was deep in thought. He looked at the direction where Wei Wuyan left with a complicated look in his eyes. He was asking himself, if he was in Wei Wuyan's position, would he kill him today? After thinking for a long time and weighing between killing and not killing, he finally decided, don't kill him. Don't kill him today. If he were to kill him today, he would be ungrateful. If he were to kill him tomorrow, he would be seeking justice. After all, humans had feelings. From good to bad, there was also a process of acceptance. Today's matter was too sudden for Wei Wuyan. Zi Sheqing's face was full of murderous intent. Let him go, Chu Yang said lightly, don't kill him. Now, Wei Wuyan only has one goal left in his life, which is to kill Hong Wuliang personally. If you kill Hong Wuliang now, Wei Wuyan won't be able to live on. Zi Sheqing gritted her teeth and said, this old dog is letting him off too easily. She said hatefully, why did Wei Wuyan let him off? He's simply a bastard. Chu Yang was silent for a long time and said, I understand Wei Wuyan's thoughts. Hong Wuliang has always been a great benefactor to him. Wei Wuyan didn't kill him now and let him live. This is equivalent to returning all that Hong Wuliang had given him. Only by killing him in the future can he take revenge with a clear conscience. Zi Sheqing sneered. The feelings of you humans are really incomprehensible. Chu Yang suddenly turned his head. You humans. Zi Sheqing's eyes flashed and she said lightly, I mean, you humans. Chu Yang laughed. You humans. What you said is very strange. But he thought, you humans? You humans. Could it be that Zi Sheqing is actually not a human? Although I let him go, I can't just let him go like this. Chu Yang turned his head and looked at Hong Wuliang. Suddenly, he strode towards him. Hong Wuliang asked in panic, you. What do you want to do? Chu Yang raised his hand and gave him a slap. It was a loud and heavy sound. You've never been slapped in the face before, have you? He gave him another slap with the back of his hand. You're worse than a dog or a pig. He stretched out his leg and kicked him to the ground. You only need to keep your life. Chu Yang ruthlessly kicked his crotch and coldly said, this kick is for your wife. That pitiful woman has been trapped by you for a lifetime. Hong Wuliang screamed miserably. His whole body twitched, and his eyes turned white. His cultivation had been sealed, and he was like an ordinary person at this moment. Chu Yang's foot had crushed his crotch. Furthermore, it carried the power of the Calamity Sword. Even if a supreme being had the power to regenerate, there was nothing he could do. You're so vicious. Hong Wuliang screamed and glared at Chu Yang fiercely. Compared to you, I am ashamed. Chu Yang smiled coldly and lifted his leg. Take care of yourself. Don't die before Wei Wuyan finds you. Hong Wuliang's face was twisted and he looked at Chu Yang with hatred. If you look at me again, I'll dig out your eyeballs and stuff them into your *SS. Do you believe me? Chu Yang asked coldly. Hong Wuliang hurriedly closed his eyes. The extreme sense of humiliation made the muscles at the corners of his eyes tremble. Let him get lost. Chu Yang lifted his leg and sighed. How vexing. Get lost. Zi Sheqing ruthlessly kicked Hong Wuliang's body. At the same time that she released the restriction on his body, she also broke dozens of bones in his body. The corners of Chu Yang's mouth twitched. This woman is much more ferocious than me. Hong Wuliang flew out for hundreds of feet before he fell onto the mountain rocks. He climbed up with difficulty and endured the pain of broken bones all over his body. He looked back and staggered forward. Why did such a person accept Wei Wuyan as his younger brother and even nurture him with all his heart? Chu Yang looked at Hong Wuliang walking away and asked puzzledly. Zi Sheqing looked at him in surprise. You can't tell? Chu Yang was stunned. What? Zi Sheqing said lightly, you can't tell, but the guy in your body can definitely tell. Chu Yang rubbed his nose and smiled bitterly. Please enlighten me. Zi Sheqing said, there's a very small amount of Purple Flame's bloodline in Wei Wuyan's body. I was originally very surprised that I could tell even though there's so little Purple Flame's bloodline. Now I finally understand. It must have been taken away by Hong Wuliang. Purple Flame's bloodline? Chu Yang searched his mind and finally understood. It turns out that it's the kind of Purple Flame's bloodline that can complement with the icy cold energy to double the effect. Yes, this is also the reason why Wei Wuyan, as his only younger brother, didn't learn the icy cold energy that Hong Wuliang is best at, Zi Sheqing said lightly. What a bastard! Chu Yang scolded angrily. He couldn't wait to chase after Hong Wuliang and beat him up again. Purple Flame's bloodline was a special bloodline. It was the best cauldron for cultivating cold attribute martial art. Every once in a while, some Purple Flame's bloodline could be extracted and integrated into one's meridians. This way, one would be able to cultivate cold attribute martial arts without any worries. And this was the reason why Hong Wuliang took Wei Wuyan in as his younger brother. Because the higher the cultivation of the Purple Flame's bloodline, the more Purple Flame's bloodline was released, and the better the effect. This was also the important reason why Hong Wuliang's cultivation improved so quickly in these hundreds of years. This was also the reason why Hong Wuliang took good care of Wei Wuyan and taught him wholeheartedly, allowing his cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. Humans, can they really be so vicious? Chu Yang took a deep breath. In this case, Wei Wuyan's life was really tragic. From the beginning to the end, he lived in a dark environment and in a trap. First, he was used as a cauldron to cultivate evil martial arts, then he was used as a tool to collect purple crystals. Later on, his wife and son were killed by such a person, and the most tragic thing was, for more than 1,000 years, Wei Wuyan had been living in a trap for the other party. How sad was this? The two of them sighed in unison. Carrying Chula on his back, Zi Sheqing led the way in front and the three of them followed the trail. The whole way was stained with blood. Wei Wuyan didn't stop the blood from flowing. Just like that, the bloody trail extended into the distance. After walking for dozens of miles, they turned a corner again. It extended all the way to a mountain before Wei Wuyan's figure could be seen. This tragic person was standing in front of a grave like a statue. The grave of his beloved wife, and Xiao Zhon. A tombstone stood alone and desolately. Wei Wuyan stood there for a long time. No one knew how long he had been standing there. He didn't say a word. His eyes were fixed on this tombstone with deep affection. She felt guilty and ashamed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wei Wuyan strode forward and hugged the tombstone in his arms, rubbing his face gently against it. Just like back then, when he came back from a mission, he hugged his wife and son in his arms. Tears flowed down the tombstone. On the small tombstone, the weeds swayed with the wind and shook gently. It was as if he had returned home. The child struggled to pounce into his arms, but his wife hugged him gently and looked at him gently. I'm so silly. Wei Wuyan hugged the tombstone. He unbuttoned his clothes and stuck the tombstone on his bare chest. Although he was facing a cold tombstone, he was full of love. It was as if he was using his chest to warm his wife's cold body. I've found my enemy. It's him. It's my master. It's Hong Wuliang. Wei Wuyan said painfully, Xiao Zhon, I'm so useless. I'm so pure. All of you died in his hands, but I still worked hard for him for more than 100 years. In these 100 years, all of you watched me work hard for him. Do you feel sad? Helpless? I don't have the face to meet all of you, but I miss all of you. Now I know that the best days of my life were those 3 years when I had you. I regret it so much, I hate it so much. I miss you so much. I miss all of you so much, I miss all of you so much. Wei Wuyan hugged the tombstone and suddenly burst into tears. Such a man was crying hoarsely and roaring silently. He hugged the cold tombstone, but it was as if he was hugging the only warmth he had in this world. The autumn wind blew. In an instant, reed flower-like things floated all over the mountains and plains. They danced in the air, swaying and drifting. It was as if his beloved wife was gently comforting her man underground. Wei Wuyan cried crazily, not caring about his image at all. He looked up to the sky and roared, "Heavens! Why are you doing this to us? Why are you doing this to our whole family?" The wind was mournful, as if he was crying and complaining. After a long time, Wei Wuyan finally stopped. He pressed his face against the tombstone and whispered softly, saying something. The sky gradually darkened. Wei Wuyan finally stood up. He pulled out the Wuyan sword and looked at the sword carefully. A bitter smile appeared on his face. "Wuyan sword, I have no face to see all of you. I have no face to see all of you." He knelt down. "Let me reunite with all of you. I beg you." The Wuyan sword suddenly shone. "Quick, do it," Chu Yang shouted. Zi Sheqing raised her hand and slapped. A withered branch shot out like lightning and deflected Wei Wuyan's Wuyan sword. It scratched his shoulder, leaving a deep wound. Wei Wuyan turned his head calmly and shook his head lightly. "It's useless. You can stop me today, but you can't stop me tomorrow." Chu Yang flew over and said angrily, "Don't you want to take revenge?" Wei Wuyan smiled bitterly. "Revenge? I didn't kill him today, so I don't want to kill him anymore. After all, he's my teacher. His kindness to me was as heavy as a mountain and as deep as the sea." "Kindness as heavy as a mountain and as deep as the sea?" Chu Yang sneered. "Do you know why he took you in as his disciple?" "What?" Wei Wuyan frowned. "Did he take a bowl of blood from you every once in a while?" Zi Sheqing asked. Wei Wuyan said, "Yes, that's to expel the cold." "How did you know?" "Ha ha. You have the bloodline of the purple flames. He took you in as his disciple so that he could drink your blood continuously and treat you as a cauldron." "Kindness as heavy as a mountain?" Zi Sheqing said, "He can't bear to let you die. Even if you're injured and bleed, he'll still be heartbroken." Chapter 934. Purple Flames Bloodline. Wei Wuyan had been in the martial world for so many years. How could he not know what the Purple Flames bloodline was? In an instant, he only felt his blood rushing to his head. His blood surged and he saw stars. He spat out a mouthful of blood and groaned, I see, I see." He just sat on the ground and kept murmuring, "So that's how it is." At first, they were confused and puzzled. Then, they were in pain and disbelief. Then, they were suddenly enlightened. Then, they were at a loss. Then, they were disheartened. Slowly, their voices became sonorous and filled with hatred. In the end, their hatred was monstrous. In this short moment, Wei Wuyan had gone through a lifetime. All his puzzles had been answered at this moment. "I see," Wei Wuyan said quietly and fiercely. After saying this, he suddenly felt a burst of sadness. A burst of heartache. He repeated word by word, "So. Is. Like. That. Is. How." Tears rolled down his cheeks as he spoke. "It's all fake. All the love, all the nurturing, all the love, everything, is all fake. I used to think that although my home, parents and sister are gone, I still have relatives. Now I know that I'm wrong. I've been living in a conspiracy since I was young. I'm just a tool. I've grown up so that others can drink my blood. I see. No wonder he killed my wife and child so easily. I see." Wei Wuyan sat quietly. He chuckled and shook his head gently. As he shook his head, his tears slowly fell to the sides. Then he stood up. His face was very calm and his eyes didn't even have the slightest fluctuation. He let out a long sigh. He said quietly, "Since I have no face, what's the use of having a face?" Suddenly, he stretched out his hand, grabbed his face and tore it off. His face was instantly badly mutilated. Chu Yang took a step forward. He wanted to say something, but he didn't. Since he tore off his face, it meant that he didn't want to die anymore. He regained the desire to live on. He tore off his original face so that he could have a better future. Such a past was unbearable for anyone. Chu Yang understood Wei Wuyan's feelings very well. Chu Yang, thank you. Wei Wuyan took out the golden saw ointment from his bosom and carefully applied the ointment on his face. With the help of his internal energy, the wound on his face became a scar. Only then did he speak to Chu Yang. I'm not thanking you for saving my life. I'm thanking you for helping me understand things. I cannot die. Wei Wuyan turned around and stroked the tombstone with his fingers. His eyes revealed infinite gentleness. My wife and children are still waiting for me. They are waiting for me to avenge them, to seek justice for them. Chu Yang said deeply, that's right. If you die, they won't be able to see their own justice. Moreover, they won't have any attachment to this world. Brother Wei, you should experience more. Your son hasn't experienced everything in this world. You should experience more and do more things. When you finally reunite with them one day, you can tell your son about your experiences. These are all things that he doesn't know. Wei Wuyan smiled bitterly, but there was hope in his eyes. He asked, is there really such a thing in that world? Chu Yang said in a low voice, as long as you believe it exists, then it exists. If you don't believe in the existence of that world, then it doesn't exist. I believe it. Wei Wuyan said seriously, I believe it. His eyes were gentle and loving, as if he was looking forward to telling stories to his son in the future. The little life that hadn't had the time to see more of this mortal world, the mountain wind blew and whistled across the mountain peak. The sky gradually darkened. The boundless forest was dark and gloomy, emitting ghost-like cries and wolf-like howls. Chu Yang, I can't go with you anymore. Wei Wuyan looked at Chu Yang apologetically, when the flowers bloom next spring, I'll go to the Zhuge clan's territory in the south to look for you. I'll accompany you to the medicine banquet and watch you soar into the sky. Chu Yang nodded understandingly, okay. I'll definitely repay what I owe you, Wei Wuyan said. Brother Wei, please remember one thing, Chu Yang said seriously. Wei Wuyan said, what? Chu Yang said word by word, if you treat me as a friend, then you don't owe me. But if you treat me as a benefactor, then you owe me. Wei Wuyan's eyes finally revealed a trace of warmth, like a glimmer of light that was rekindled from the ashes. He stretched out his hands and held Chu Yang's shoulders tightly. He said deeply, yes, yes. I don't owe you. I don't owe you. He suddenly found a spiritual support. It turned out that in this world, he didn't have nothing after all. At the very least, he still had a friend. Chu Yang smiled slightly. I'll stay here to accompany them. The wind is strong here, the mountain is high and the night is dark. They will be scared. Back then, in order to take care of Hong Wuliang, I buried them here nearby. I have let them down a lot. Wei Wuyan said softly. Chu Yang was silent for a long time. Then, he said, then, when you go down the mountain, bring them to the Wei clan's ancestral grave. Your Wei clan should have an ancestral grave, right? Wei Wuyan's eyes lit up and he said, yes, they won't be lonely there. My parents are there. Speaking till here, he was in a daze. Chu Yang and Zi Sheqing had already walked far away. Looking back, they could only see a lonely figure standing in front of the tombstone in the twilight. After a long time, Wei Wuyan sat down again. He stretched out his arms and hugged the tombstone, hugging the lonely grave. Night fell on the earth, and the last light in the world was also hidden. Wei Wuyan and the lonely grave were both melted in the darkness. The three of them walked in silence along the way. Until they walked out of the black blood forest, the three of them almost didn't speak. Only when they walked out of the forest at dawn and saw wisps of smoke rising in the distance did Zi Sheqing let out a long breath and said, Chu Yang, I only realized today that you're actually a good person. Chu Yang said, why do you say this? Zi Sheqing smiled lightly. Because you gave Wei Wuyan something to worry about. I was very touched at that time. She sighed. Although Wei Wuyan was temporarily persuaded to come back by us, his only goal left is revenge. Because he has nothing to worry about in this world. Just like what you said, when Hong Wuliang died, Wei Wuyan would definitely commit suicide. Because to him, This world of mortals has no meaning or joy at all. But at this time, you made use of his character of never owing anyone and gave him a brother, a friend. Zhi Sheqing said lightly, when a person is in despair and suddenly sees a little light, he will grasp it tightly. His whole soul will also be drawn closer to this light. So, not only is Wei Wuyan lucky, you're also lucky. He has a goal and support to live on, and you also have a real friend. Chu Yang said lightly, I just don't want him to die. I don't want to be his support. Instead, I want to wait for him to walk out of this past and lead a good life. Zhi Sheqing thought for a while. It's difficult. Chu Yang nodded. Yes, it's difficult. The two of them thought of the lonely figure in front of the lonely grave at the same time. Wei Wuyan was so infatuated with his late wife. If he wanted to lead a new life, it would be very difficult. Don't destroy this relationship, Zhi Sheqing said. Actually, it's quite good for him to be like this. The living and the dead both have peace. Although this relationship is sad, it's very beautiful. Chu Yang said, you've finally admitted to the relationship in this world. Zhi Sheqing laughed but didn't say anything. After a while, she asked, where are we going? Directly south. Chu Yang pointed. If we walk a little further, less than 3,000 miles, we should reach the territory of the Zhuge clan. We'll go directly south first. There's the medicine banquet there. I'll use this opportunity to replenish my energy. At the same time, I'll find the last medicine for Le to cure her illness. Chu Yang paused. Zhi Sheqing nodded lightly. She knew that Chu Yang was talking about replenishing the energy of the tribulation sword. Next spring, after the medicine banquet, I'll go straight to the northwest. Chu Yang tilted his head and looked towards the northwest. His expression was extremely complicated. Northwest, Wind Thunder Platform. The fifth fragment of the tribulation sword. It was there that the final destination of his previous life was also the destination of his current life. Now that he thought about it, it was like a dream. Mo Tianji, as Chu Yang thought about it, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. And this time, Diwu Qingru was there in the south. Big brother, your smile is so vicissitude. Chu Le tilted her head and looked at him. Vicissitude? Chu Yang said with interest, don't you think that I'm very manly just now? Chu Le nodded seriously. Yes. I have the charm of an old man. Old man? Chu Yang was stunned. Yes, seeing you like that makes me want to listen to your stories. Chu Le's eyes sparkled as she said. Chu Yang broke down. Zhi Sheqing laughed out loud. Along the way, the autumn wind was already refreshing. The trees along the way were golden yellow. Often, when a gust of wind blew, the whole world would be filled with falling leaves. This kind of scenery made Chu Le, who had never been on a long journey, dance with joy. Zhi Sheqing and Chu Yang practiced along the way. After walking for more than 1,000 miles, Chu Yang's realm had already slowly increased to the level of Sword Emperor. Of course, as the two of them walked, the places behind them were almost filled with crying. Wherever people gathered, there would always be a gap between the rich and the poor, and there would always be big and small forces. And there would always be a few lustful people from rich families, big forces, and small clans. And how could these people hold back after seeing such a stunning beauty like Zhi Sheqing? They would come up to flirt in a daze. If they failed to flirt, they would naturally resort to violence. Therefore, Chu Yang, the flower's protector, was the first to bear the brunt. Chu Yang realized that it was completely impossible to reason with these people. No matter what he said, they just wanted to keep the beauty. They even used sneak attacks and traps to frame her. There was even a guy who mobilized his entire clan to snatch the beauty for his son. The king of Hell Chu was furious. Chapter 935. When the king of Hell was angry, millions of corpses would fall. King of Hell Chu single-handedly killed his way into the territory of this clan that dared to slap flies on the tiger's head. Blood flowed like a river. How could such a marginal clan be a match for a sword emperor? While screaming, they were killed by King of Hell Chu 7 times. King of Hell Chu was furious. You guys are still here to snatch beauties. If you guys can really do it, then go ahead. That way, I'll feel bad for you guys. But you guys don't have eyes. It's not as simple as slapping flies on the tiger's head. You guys are here to snatch a tigress. King of Hell Chu scolded as he beat them. This sentence offended them. So, after young Master Chu finished killing, he walked to a secluded place and was beaten up severely. King of Hell Chu was even angrier. It's all your fault. Therefore, in the end, he didn't waste any more words. If one came, he would kill one. If two came, he would kill a pair. You guys aren't afraid of death, but do you think I'm afraid of killing people? So, the group of playboys became ghosts under Chu Yang's sword one by one. Wherever King of Hell Chu passed by, the families with playboys wailed. The sound of Swona resounded through half the sky. King of Hell Chu was dressed in black. He leisurely entered the territory of the Zhuge clan in a carefree and unrestrained manner. South. It seemed to be a landmark. When he entered the territory of Zhuge clan, there were blood-red maples along the way for hundreds of miles. Red like blood, stretching for hundreds of miles. Such a scene was simply spectacular and shocking. Just as he entered the territory of Zhuge clan, he found that the security here was exceptionally tight. Along the way, there were actually checkpoints after checkpoints. They were only allowed to pass after confirming his identity. It seemed that Zhuge clan was going all out for security during the preparation and start of the medicine banquet. Chu Yang took out the identity token that Han Xiaoran had given him previously to confirm his identity as a doctor. Only then was he allowed to pass. And because of his special status as a doctor in the law enforcement hall, he was also given special treatment. There was a special person who led him all the way to the next checkpoint. Then, he was escorted to the next checkpoint by someone from the next checkpoint. On one hand, this reflected Han Xiaoran's huge power. Even Zhuge clan gave him face. On the other hand, Zhuge clan escorted him all the way without any chaos. South Zhuge clan. Just by looking at this style, it was indeed extravagant to the extreme. Along the way, although Zi Sheqing had covered her face with a veil, her graceful figure, bright eyes, and silky hair could not be hidden from anyone. One look and one could tell that she was a peerless beauty. Moreover, with such a tall and slender figure, even if her face was covered, one could still feel that she was a holy, noble, and unapproachable woman. Her entire body involuntarily exuded a frosty aura that kept people 1,000 miles away. This kind of feeling attracted countless burning gazes. However, seeing the Zhuge family's warriors attentively receiving them, the young masters naturally didn't dare to be impudent. However, the news spread very quickly. In just one morning, everyone in this small town that had just entered the south knew that a peerless beauty had arrived. This place belonged to the front line of the Zhuge family. The Zhuge clan only set up a branch here. It belonged to the northern branch. The real local tyrant here was the Zhuge clan's vassal clan, the Sun clan. As the warrior who received Chu Yang walked, he reminded him softly, "Sir, this place is a little far from the Zhuge clan's headquarters. Sir, please be careful. We will only stay here for one night and set off immediately tomorrow. Don't stir up trouble. Otherwise, if law enforcement Master Han blames us, we won't be able to bear it." Chu Yang understood that on the surface, he said that on the surface, they wouldn't be able to bear it. In fact, he was reminding him to be careful. It was just that his words were more tactful. Looking at this martial revered warrior, Chu Yang smiled playfully and said, "Big brother, if there's anything inconvenient, can you explain it to us?" The warrior hesitated for a moment before replying, "All right." Then, he sighed and said, "Sir, this woman is a little too eye-catching. Sigh. I hope those two devils from the Sun clan don't come out." "Two devil incarnate?" Chu Yang laughed out loud. This warrior sighed softly and said, "Sir, as a doctor of the law enforcement hall, you have too few people around you." "Yes." Chu Yang saw that he was sincerely considerate and said, "What's your name?" "My surname is Dao." "Dao Ren is my name," this warrior said. "Dao Ren?" Chu Yang snorted. Dao Ren smiled embarrassedly and said, "My name always makes people think too much. Sir, if you want to laugh, go ahead. I'm already used to it." When he said this, Chu Yang smiled embarrassedly and said, "Brother Dao, please don't blame me. I'm not easily amused. Dao Ren said cheerfully, it's okay. Speaking of which, I've received so many people. Sir, you're the first person to apologize to me after laughing. Chu Yang smiled and said, it's my duty. The name given by my parents isn't for others to laugh at. As he said, when we reach the inn, I'll have a drink with Brother Dao. Dao Ren said, I'm just about to report to you about what happened here. Not long after, they reached the inn. Chu Yang arranged wine and dishes and drank with Dao Ren. At the same time, he could inquire about the news. Sir, you came earlier this time. If you came later, the doctors from all over the place would have arrived. With all kinds of people, the Sun Clan wouldn't dare to be arrogant. But now, it's hard to predict, Dao Ren said. Oh. In this place, the Zhuge clan can't protect their guests. Why don't the Sun Clan have the final say? Chu Yang asked in surprise. No, because this place is more remote, the clan simply let the Sun Clan manage this place and let them monopolize it. In this way, it greatly reduces disputes. Although the Sun Clan is usually a little overbearing, without competition from other clans, it's much more stable than other places. But the Sun Clan's younger brothers are becoming more and more domineering. Dao Ren smiled. I see, Chu Yang said thoughtfully. With one family monopolizing it, even if there were disturbances, they would be internal disturbances and could be easily extinguished. Moreover, even if there were one or two unfilial younger brothers, it wouldn't cause big trouble. This was a good idea. At least, it was much better than the Xiao clan's 3 clans controlling Flat Mountain Ridge. The Sun Clan is Sir Diwu Qingyun's father-in-law's family. The 2 clans are also related by marriage. Dao Ren lowered his voice. I see. No wonder the Sun Clan is so arrogant. They have a backer. Chu Yang drank a cup of wine. Diwu Qingyun's relative? Is there such a coincidence? I'm going to kill Diwu Qingrou's relative the moment I come. What's the relationship between this Diwu Qingyun and Diwu Qingru? Chu Yang asked. Diwu Qingyun can't be compared to Sir Qingru in any aspect. But the 2 of them are cousins. Diwu Qingyun is older than Sir Diwu Qingru by more than 10 years, Dao Ren said. Yes, Chu Yang nodded lightly. If the Sun Clan really comes, you only need to take out the law enforcement token and Doctor's Jade Pendant. The Sun Clan wouldn't dare to do anything to you. Dao Ren said before he left. It seems that you've come early, Chu Yang. Zi Sheqing turned her eyes and smiled. If I'm late, I won't be able to catch up with the hot ones. Chu Yang frowned and said, if you didn't follow me, I could have made a fortune secretly and swept all the medicinal herbs in the periphery. Now that you've followed me, my plan is ruined. What good medicinal herbs are there in the periphery? Zi Sheqing laughed and said, the real good medicinal herbs are taken out by the big clans. Those are the real treasures. Chu Yang snorted. Looking at his hands, he said lightly, you've followed me all the way here. I've killed at least 100 people. My hands are stained with blood. Zi Sheqing said lightly, but the people along the way will feel you. The beautiful ladies won't have their most fearful worries. Isn't this the best thing? Chu Yang frowned and said, I'm afraid I'll have to kill people again here. Zi Sheqing said, you're worried about Diwu Qingru? Chu Yang sighed slightly and said, no one can ignore someone like Diwu Qingru. Zi Sheqing nodded and said, if so, I'd like to see what kind of hero this Diwu Qingru is. You kill these people and lure him here for me to see. Chu Yang rolled his eyes. If Diwu Qingru could be mobilized for such a small matter, he wouldn't be Diwu Qingru. Although he didn't know what Diwu Qingrou's status was in the Zhuge clan, Chu Yang believed that with Diwu Qingrou's ability, he would live well no matter where he was. Before he finished speaking, the sound of horse hooves could be heard coming from outside. It stopped abruptly in front of the inn's door. The group of people rolled off their saddles and immediately after, a light voice sounded, Kenjong, how beautiful do you think this so-called peerless beauty is? Is she worthy of such praise from those guys? Another voice laughed and said, since they say she's a peerless beauty, she must be good. Otherwise, this group of lechers wouldn't praise her so much. Everyone agreed with him. Yes, yes. Young master, she's too beautiful. My eyes were fixed on her. Yes, When I saw her, I couldn't walk. Too beautiful. Such a girl and so cold. She's really hot. Hearing the noise outside, Chu Yang frowned slightly. Looking at this girl was really a source of trouble. She had only been here for less than 2 hours and had already attracted a large group of playboys. Haha, since she's so beautiful, Kanjong, this girl is mine, said the previous voice. Sun Duanmo, don't go too far. I've already given you the chance to have the red dwarf last time. Sun Kanjong said in exasperation, this time, I won't give you the chance again. Finger guessing game. 1 punch to decide the winner. 1, 2, 3, start. It seemed that these 2 brothers wanted to gamble for this matter. The men at the side couldn't help but shout in excitement. Then, Sun Sanjiang's triumphant voice sounded, brothers, follow me in. Let this so-called ice beauty do a striptease for everyone. Wahahahaha. There was a burst of strange laughter that sounded like the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves. The men swarmed in and asked loudly, Beauty, where is the beauty? Come out quickly. Ha ha. Another man said evilly, if the beauty hears us, she can just walk out naked. Ha ha ha. Zi Sheqing was so angry that her face turned green. Chapter 936. Trouble had finally arrived. Zi Sheqing was very depressed and angry. This was because she knew that Chu Yang's matter was very important. So, she covered her face. This was the only time she covered her face along the way. She didn't want to cause any trouble. But trouble came looking for her. She was actually chased all the way to the inn with her face covered. This showed how desperate this bunch of playboys were in their pursuit of beauty. Big brother, is it really a crime for a woman to be beautiful? Chu Le asked puzzledly, will there be so much trouble just because she's beautiful? In that case, are beautiful women destined to be unhappy in their lives? Chu Yang heaved a deep sigh. He didn't know how to answer his sister's question. Beauty. This kind of situation was not common in the lower 3 heavens. Even if there was, it was rarely so blatant. In the upper 3 heavens, although the situation had worsened, it wasn't very chaotic. But in the upper 3 heavens, everyone was so unscrupulous. He had only walked 1,800 miles and he had already killed more than 100 of such people, including their followers. And this was in a place where there weren't many people. This showed how bad the moral situation in the upper 3 heavens had become. Beauty is not a crime, but it's also a crime. Chu Yang sighed. Born in a peaceful era, beauty is a fortune bestowed by the heavens. Born in a chaotic era, beauty is a punishment bestowed by the heavens. No matter how good a person's character is, he can't protect his beautiful wife in this heavens. That's why it's said that beautiful women are ill-fated. Actually, it's not that beautiful women are ill-fated, but playboys who deserve to die. After Chu Yang finished, he looked at the door. The 3 of them were staying in the heavenly room number 1 and room number 2. Generally, those who could stay here were people of status. The Zhuge clan had arranged for them to stay here, which was tantamount to saying, these 3 people have a strong background, don't provoke them. Such an obvious hint, but these playboys didn't take it seriously at all. With a loud bang, the door was pushed open. A group of young men appeared at the door. They were all dressed in rich and dignified clothes, but their eyes were full of eagerness and lust as they looked at the room. The moment they saw Zi Sheqing, they were all stunned. Zi Sheqing was in the room and was not wearing a mask. She was barefaced at this moment, but her peerless beauty was fully displayed. Even though he was looking at them coldly at this moment, it still made these young men's hearts itch. Ice beauty, ha ha ha. I love climbing ice mountains the most. Sun Sanjiang's right cheek had a big mole, and he was laughing weirdly at the moment. Looking at Zi Sheqing, he almost drooled. The other person looked similar to Sun Kanjong, but he had a big mole on the left side of his face. He must be the Grand Gonggong, Sun Duanmo. Beauty, what's your name? Ioyo. Don't glare at me. Once you glare at me, I, your lover, feel weak all over. Sun Kanjong leaned against the door frame and acted like a rascal. The group of playboys behind him jeered, second young master, have you gone soft? If even the bottom part is soft, That would be bad. Let us enjoy the beauty. That's right, that's right. Second young master, quickly reach out and touch it. Can you still use it? Wahahaha, after a burst of weird laughter, Sun Kanjong actually reached out and touched it. He turned his head and laughed. The other parts of my body are all soft, only this part is harder. Instantly, the evil laughter shook the sky. Everyone looked at Chu Yang and the other two in the room as if they were looking at delicious food. It seemed that the people inside could not resist at all. Everything was in the bag and destined. Second young master, why don't you let the beauty touch you? A playboy laughed loudly. Second brother, why don't I do it? Sun Duanmo was a little anxious. I've never seen such a fairy-like beauty in my whole life. That won't do. She's mine, so she's mine. Even if you're my elder brother, I won't let you. Sun Kanjong was very determined. Chu Yang coughed and said slowly, people from the Sun clan? Ah, this gigolo can even talk. Sun Duanmo chuckled and swaggered in. He clicked his tongue and said, a big beauty and a little beauty. This time, we're really lucky. Kanjong, how about this? You want the big one and I want the little one? Sun Kanjong looked at Chu Le with some reluctance and said painfully, okay. Black gas loomed between Chu Yang's eyebrows. His murderous intent could no longer be contained. He forcibly suppressed it and said, will the Sun clan allow you to do this? Don't the elders in your clan know that this is not good? When he said this, Zi Sheqing immediately knew that Chu Yang already had the intention of exterminating the clan, and the answer of these two brothers would be the answer. It would determine the fate of their clan. Clan? Stop us. Sun Duanmo laughed loudly. It's not the first time we've done such things. Gigolo, do you think that if the clan had stopped us, we would be standing here today? Sun Duanmo laughed strangely. Little one, do you think this world is so peaceful? You actually swaggered into our Sun clan's territory. You shouldn't have brought along a beauty. Haha, but it's good too. It's good too. I'll take it that you've brought me a beauty. If you know what's good for you, I'll spare your life. Chu Yang smiled faintly. Yes, the Sun clan was confirmed. Seeing that the Sun brothers were about to make a move, Chu Yang shouted, wait, wait. Sun Kanjong stopped and looked at Chu Yang. Little one, your voice is not soft. How dare you be so loud? I just want to know how we got into such bad luck. Chu Yang put on a dejected look and said, when we came here, we immediately checked into the inn and didn't meet you. But now, you've come to find trouble with us directly. Could it be that you've seen it? All the more he couldn't let go of the person who tipped them off. These people clearly knew that he couldn't afford to offend them, but they went to inform the young ruffians. Even if he didn't do it himself, he still wanted to defile them. What kind of mentality was this? Such people were even more abominable than the Sun brothers. Chu Yang didn't intend to let any of them off. To cut the weeds, he had to dig up the roots. Today, the king of Hell Chu intended to really start a massacre. Sun Duanmo laughed loudly. We didn't see it, but they saw it, which is equivalent to us seeing it. As he said, he waved his hand arrogantly. Did you see it? A few of them saw it. So that you can know that we have a big clan and 4 small clans here. They are like stars surrounding the moon. Do you know which big clan is that? Sun clan? Chu Yang frowned and asked. Smart. Sun Kanjong snapped his fingers, and the few of them are Eunuch Li, Eunuch Zhao, Eunuch Chen, and Eunuch Zheng. We brothers have always enjoyed blessings and will together. When they found the beauty, it was equivalent to me finding it immediately. It's that simple, understand? Ha ha ha. Do you think that I won't dare to touch you just because the warriors of the Zhuge clan brought you to stay in the inn and arranged for you to stay in the first room? What a joke. I see. Chu Yang stood up and said righteously, so it's the 5 big clans that connive with the young ruffians of each clan to do whatever they want and wreak havoc in the village. I have to remove such a malignant tumor. Yah. What an arrogant tone. You actually said I stand up. Sun Duanmo sneered and said, so, you also have some background? Sun Kanjong laughed and said, we didn't do anything when we came up because we were trying to find out the background of this little guy. After being interrogated by him for such a long time, It's time for us to find out more about him. Haha, I'd like to see which clan's young master is actually so awesome. Chu Yang's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He threw a token on the table and said lightly, I'm the chief doctor of the Southeast Law Enforcement Officers. You dare to touch me? He only took it out now because he was sure that these people were already in a difficult position. No matter who he was, they had to touch him, and if they touched him now, it would be equivalent to making an enemy out of the law enforcement officers. He had to put on a big hat first. After all, this was the territory of the Zhuge clan and he was alone. Not only did he have to stand on the right side of things, he also had to find a way out and a backer first. Otherwise, if the Zhuge clan made things difficult for him, although he wasn't afraid, it would also hinder his plan to participate in the medicine banquet. But something that Chu Yang didn't expect happened. Seeing an exquisite jade pendant on the table, Sun Duanmo went forward and grabbed it. He looked closely at it and muttered, Cold heaven and earth in the southeast, I'm Mo Xiaoran, the law enforcement officer of the human world. I'm righteous and fearless, I can face the heavens with this heart. After he finished reciting, Sun Duanmo actually swayed his neck and clicked his tongue. Good poem. Good poem. This poem is really well written. When I recite it, I also feel a little passionate and heroic. I didn't expect you to have such talent. Even though Chu Yang was furious, he couldn't help but be stunned. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. In this world, as the son and daughter of an aristocratic clan, there was actually such a fool. There was only one such law enforcement jade pendant in the entire heavens. It was the symbol of the law enforcement master who was in charge of the general direction. The cultivation of this law enforcement master wasn't necessarily the highest, but his reputation was awe-inspiring. Because he represented all the law enforcement officers in the world. As for the law enforcement officers' interrogation hall, secret hall, dragon hall, tiger hall, and so on, they all existed as a mobile force. Under normal circumstances, this law enforcement master would rule this heavens in an orderly manner. The identity cards of ordinary law enforcement officers were divided into iron, copper, silver, and gold. When the law enforcement officers reached a certain level, they would be divided into white, blue, black, and purple crystal identity cards. The purple crystal identity card was the most honorable, but in this world, there was only one real identity card made of white jade. On it, there was the name of the law enforcement master, the location of the law enforcement, and so on. And this identity card was known by everyone in the world. Once it was taken out, it represented the arrival of Han Xiaoran himself. What kind of status was this? Now, in the mouth of this Grand Duke's son, it actually became a passionate little poem and didn't represent anything else. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.